Hey guys, this is Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. Today we've got a special guest and we're going to be doing a 2022 NBA draft discussion where we talk about the lottery picks from last night. So picks 1 through 14. And we're not going to spend too much time on each, but we're going to kind of share some of the notes that me and my special guest today have made. We're going to talk through some general NBA stuff. There's going to be a little bit of basketball card talk, but if you're looking for just card stuff, today is not your episode. This is more for card investors, prospectors, and things like that. My special guest today is Jonathan Pixley, one of my best friends. He lives here in Baton Rouge with me. He's the only other person in Louisiana that knows anything about NBA basketball. So that is one feather in his cap. And Jonathan, thanks for joining us today. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I appreciate you having me, man. This is going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah. I told Jonathan before he came on, this is going to be just like us kind of sitting in the living room watching the draft together, just kind of talking about what we see. Not a lot of organization or professionalism or like concise thoughts, but it's just throwing ideas out there and bouncing questions off each other and just kind of getting each other's perspective on it. And hopefully you guys will appreciate the rapport that we've built up from being friends for about 35 years, I think, by my calculations. So,
and I would be willing to bet that of those 35 years, we're approaching 90% of our conversations involve basketball, and probably 90% of those involve the NBA. So
that's a pretty fair assessment. And the first time we've ever been recorded live, or not live, but recorded on video, right? So we've got to watch ourselves.
It's a crime. It's a crime in itself.
It's a crime. We really should share our gift with the world. So today's the first time we get to share our gift with the world. So everybody who's watching, you're welcome. So Jonathan, just tell everybody in a nutshell, give me a 2-minute spiel on your basketball background, your basketball career, your coaching career, and what you're doing now as far as training.
Yeah. So, grew up in Baton Rouge, played at the same high school that Brian did, and was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship to a Division I school in Birmingham, Alabama called Samford University, and not Stanford, Samford University, where I played for head coach John Brady, who promised me that we would play LSU, which is one of the reasons I ended up there. And my senior year, we came back home and beat LSU. And then miraculously, he got the job the next year at LSU, ended up leading them to a Final Four. Had a brief run in the NBA Summer League, worked out with the Spurs in Atlanta, and spoke to Jerry West and Mitch Kupchak with the Lakers, and was hoping I'd be one of their 2 second round picks that year, and did not get drafted, but went out there anyhow with a free agent team. Got hurt in the third or fourth game out there. My career was over. And so I had to come back to Baton Rouge, got into coaching, where I coached at a high school here in town, the Dunham School, for 20 years, won multiple state championships, developed a private lesson and AAU business, which Brian was a huge part of our AAU business, which led into a Nike contract as well, which I think if we went back, we probably wouldn't do that again. But nonetheless, right. The AAU world was a lot of fun for us. And so now that has all developed into a facility here in town that my wife and I run, and I train NBA and college guys. In fact, was in the gym just a little while ago with Skylar Mays, who plays for the Atlanta Hawks, who played with us in our Nike contract. So that's it. That's me in a nutshell. That's where I am, and loving life right now.
I can't believe you left out the Kobe Bryant part of the Summer League. Like, that should be what you lead with, don't you think? No, name dropping Kobe Bryant, wouldn't that be the place to start?
Well, if Kobe, God rest his soul, were alive today, he wouldn't recognize me in a lineup. So I guess I kind of left that.
He probably confused you.
I was in the same gym as Kobe,
yeah.
Watching him work out when he was 19 years old, when I was with LA out there a little bit, and I did at that time. Also watching him drop 30 on Gary Payton and a half in the Summer League game. I'll never forget that. And said, you know what? I think this kid's going to be pretty good. And he was. He ended up being pretty good.
There's not many 19-year-olds that can throw 30 on the glove, right?
No.
All right. So we came to talk about the NBA draft. I appreciate the background. So you guys can kind of get the gist of, these are two middle-aged dudes who've put about 65, 70 years, well, probably 80, pushing 80 years combined together into just watching the NBA with our fingers touching a little bit at the Division I college level, high level AAU in the EYBL, where I recruited and assistant coached, you head coached. So we've gotten to see a lot of these guys that have been drafted over the past few years, which has been pretty cool because we can say, hey, we coached against them, or we saw this guy, in these grassroots games on a very, very high level. So we've got a little bit of a background. Let's start, Jonathan, by going through some of the trades that happened just before the draft. I only see two trades that really matter. There was a trade. Let me screen share here for you. There was a JaMychal Green from Denver to Oklahoma City and a first-round pick in 2027. Will we even be alive? I don't know. For the 30th pick in this draft, that doesn't really matter to me. Does that move the needle to you at all, JaMychal Green?
Not at all. Not one bit.
Moving on. We're not going to waste any time on that. The next trade that is, some would perceive it to be relevant. Dallas picks up Christian Wood, who on paper looks like a fantastic fit, a versatile big. He's kind of the modern day big that can kind of pop and he can pick and pop. He can shoot it a little bit. He's probably 6'11", maybe 235, something like that. A little slight big. He's kind of an undersized 5, but an oversized 4 now. And so Houston pulled that trigger on that. Honestly, I like the trade from Houston's standpoint because I think Christian Wood sucks. I can't say it any other way. I don't like him. He's a black hole. I love Kevin Porter and Jalen Green. And Christian Wood thought he was the point guard. What do you see in Christian Wood?
Yeah, I think it's all going to depend on, is he willing to take a little bit lesser role than he thinks he's capable of. And the good thing is he's playing with one of 5 guys in the world that he cannot argue is better than him. So, I think if he's willing to take that role, kind of a 3-and-D-ish guy, but also a role pick and pop guy, he can make life a little bit easier. I'm sure he's willing to do that.
Yeah. Christian Wood or Kristaps Porzingis. In a perfect world where both are healthy and both are playing for the Mavericks as currently constituted, who you taking?
Christian Wood, because we know what Porzingis is. We know what he is, and he's just not gonna move the needle enough to win a championship.
Well, it's also hard to imagine a healthy Kristaps Porzingis. It's a hypothetical that's not even a hypothetical.
Yep.
Okay, the next big trade, we've got the Detroit trade, the number 36 pick, which ended up being some foreign dude with a girl's name, and a 25 first rounder, and then 2 second-round picks for Jeremy Grant. So Detroit traded Jeremy Grant, cleared up that cap space, moved him over to Portland. Thoughts on that from Portland's perspective, picking up Jeremy Grant? Does it matter?
It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. I mean, I get that they needed to do it, but my deal is you get rid of CJ McCollum, and who's a 20-point-a-game guy. Now you replace him with a guy who, with Lillard, doesn't create his own shot great, right? He's a good offensive player, but I think he's more of an empty stats guy. I think he's an empty stats guy on a bad team. I think Denver was who Jeremy Grant is, right? They still need – if they're counting on him to be their number 2, then they didn't get better at all. If they have somebody else planned to come in, then that's different.
Well, the question is, if you're hitting the reset button and you're doing a rebuild around, Anthony Simons and Nasir Little and now Shaydon Sharp that they picked up, then why you want a 28-year-old Jeremy Grant on a big contract?
Right.
It doesn't really make sense. I'd almost rather CJ McCollum.
I would too, but with that team, right? Again, it's going to depend on what he's willing to do. If he thinks he should come in and average, 22 a game and get 18 shots and all that, then it's a nightmare. If he wants to be a much better
Michael Bridges,
Covington, or Mikal Bridges. I mean, that's even better. You're right, because he is athletic. So then again, it's all going to depend on what they are willing to do. And again, Grant now is going to a team where he can't argue that he's the best player, right?
Right.
So
maybe he will. That's right. So it's incumbent upon Lillard and Doncic to basically say, know your role, do what what we brought you here to do. And I think Grant might. I don't see it from Christian Wood because I've never seen anybody who, maybe Antoine Walker, but Christian Wood has never seen a shot he does not like.
I don't like his game at all. And I'm with you. I think he believes he's a number 1 on a championship team, and he's going to be a problem. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out.
Here's a deal in that town, though. Okay, if indeed that's the case, he will not last long.
No, I don't think so. I think the two GMs, Mark Cuban and Luka Doncic, will send him out of town, right? And then look, and he's significantly better than Dwight Powell and the pick and popper, Maxi Kleber, right? He's better than them, right? He's kind of a combination of them, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Okay, that's enough about trades. There was one. Well, let's talk about this. There was two more trades that sort of matter. I think that the Jalen Duran trade, and we're going to talk about Jalen Duran in a second because he was a lottery pick, and we're going to work our way through the lottery. Jalen Duran was basically just moved out of New York to create cap space, but it wasn't that much space. He was only on a 9.7, I think, if that's right. So he's moved to Detroit.
Wait, you're talking about Kemba Walker, right?
I'm sorry. I'm looking at Kemba Walker and saying, yeah. So Jalen Duran, So Kemba Walker was moved out of New York to create cap space. Kemba Walker's going to get cut by Detroit, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Has to. Yeah.
And then Jalen Duran was moved again, yes?
He was moved from New York. He goes to.
I know this. Hang on. What am I doing? Jalen Duran, he's traded to Detroit. Yeah, so he's part of that trade. So Jalen Duran is in Detroit. So they picked up Jaden Ivy and Jalen Duran. Yeah, okay.
But Charlotte gets the Bucks 2025 first round pick via Detroit.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of picks changing hands. Let's just put it that way, right? I think Jalen Duran was the biggest lottery pick that got moved, or the biggest draft pick that got moved. I don't recall any other big ones. The next one would be like the number 19 pick. You like the Walker Kessler kid. Just talk 2 seconds about Walker Kessler, what you see when you see him.
I think, he only shot 29% from three, I think, or 20% from three this past year. I think, though, in today's game, he's going to end up being a serviceable three-point shooter. He's an amazing shot blocker. He is. His timing is absolutely incredible, and his feet are much better than you would think of some giant white guy. I mean, it's just reality.
Agreed. Agreed.
But I think he's good on the block, which may or may not matter. But he's a great rim protector, and I think he's got a chance to be a good shooter.
Yeah, I think he's got a place in the NBA. Let's put it that way. Whereas I think there's guys that were taken in the first round, they don't.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. And I think one of them could be right here in Baton Rouge, right?
Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go. We're going to get there. Okay, so let's pull up the draft board here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. That's what she's saying. Okay, here you go. So number 1 pick, Paolo Banchero. Let's go through it real quick. From Duke, everybody should know who he is if you're watching this video. Drafted by Orlando, 6'10", 250. He was Orlando kind of pulled the old switcheroo. They tried to hide the ball, let everybody think they were taking Jabari Smith. I don't know really what they gained from that sleight of hand, but they ended up taking Banchero. My comps, and we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about him, but my comps for Banchero, I think he's a less athletic Blake Griffin, but sort of a Carlos Boozer. What do you see when you see Banchero? Who do you see?
I can't put Carlos Boozer and Blake Griffin in the same sentence, so I'm going to skate by that one real quick.
Okay.
And I think, and Woj actually brought this up. He's potentially like a stat stuffer, right? Because he's gonna have the ball in his hands. I think he's a better creator than people realize, like for other people, right? Because in college, it's hard to accumulate a bunch of assists because the spacing is different and the number of possessions isn't the same. But I could see him. I mean, I think, was it Woj or Windhorst? I can't remember who I was listening to, but they said, they could see him being a 27-5 guy as a rookie because, number one, Orlando's bad. And number two, he is skilled and the spacing could be good. So Blake Griffin, who was a much better ball handler and passer than people gave him credit for in his prime, that's probably a good comp outside of the freakish hops. But the build is similar. I kind of like that one. I would not put Boozer anywhere in his comp for sure. Blake Griffin's nice. I like that. He was often compared to Julius Randle, who I can see that as well, especially where Randle is now as a player. So potentially.
And look, I'm not going to let you get away with stuff like this. So I've got Boozer pulled up. You're not going to bag on my guy, Carlos Boozer, one of the greatest Alaskans of all time.
Yeah, he got numbers.
Boozer put up some numbers, man. He made 2 All-Star teams.
Early Olympic team.
Okay, yeah, he's not a bad player. He had 20 and 11, 21 and 10. 16 and 10, 19, 20, almost 20 and 11. He could play a little bit. Now, he was ground bound, and I think Banchero is somewhere in between. This is a big gap. Somewhere in between the athleticism of Blake Griffin and Boozer. Is that fair?
So somewhere between you and me combined.
You and me. Right.
With versus
Jordan.
Ja Morant. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, talk about Orlando. Let's talk about Orlando. They got a bunch of little guards. They got Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, Jalen Suggs, and RJ Hampton's not a little guard, but he's a guard. So out of those four, you pretty much only need to run your team with two. Is it me, or do they have three guys that can only play point? Like Suggs, Cole Anthony, and Fultz can only play point, right?
Well, Cole Anthony thinks he's a two, but has to have the ball in his hands. But you're right. From a size standpoint, yes, I would agree. Those guys need to be ones.
They're going to have to do something with that. They're going to have to address that issue. I don't think they're going to have a hard time finding a suitor for any one of those three guys. They never had to deal with that issue because when Cole Anthony was putting up numbers, Fultz was hurt, and then and then Suggs came in, got off to a slow start. But I don't know which one of those three, if you were going to keep one, would you keep Fultz, Cole Anthony, or Suggs?
Well, honestly, who can you get? Well, Cole Anthony's the dude I would keep probably. Okay. But the problem is you could probably get the most for him because he could go to a contender or a playoff team and be a great Vinnie Johnson off the bench.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, agreed.
And so that would be the issue. The guy I would care the least about keeping is Fultz. I think Suggs, it's up in the air. I thought he was going to be an outstanding player. He still may for sure. Yeah. Right. So Fultz, it would go in order: Anthony, Suggs, and Fultz for me.
Either way, they got to move somebody. As their bigs, I mean, you got Banchero coming in. He starts day one, right? We're not even going to ask that question, right? Because he's in there working with Jonathan Isaac coming off his second bad injury.
Right.
Mo Bamba, Mo Wagner, I'm going to call him a big, but he's really the clear three, I would think, on that team. He had a really good rookie season, a clear three, and then Wendell Carter, who actually – dude, I thought that guy was just a big, goofy stiff, but he put up some really good numbers and actually shot some really good percentages. He had nobody notices Orlando was horrific, but Wendell Carter, who was very low on my list of players to watch, had a really good season statistically. So I guess they go Wagner, Banchero, Wendell Carter. Yes?
Yes, and Wendell Carter ended up being a lot better than he was allowed to be in Chicago, right?
Correct.
I think that's a big deal. Now we're going to find out with those guys. Is it the Sacramento deal with De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley, all these guys who kind of just throwing up empty stats right now? Or is there a core there that can come together and stay together and actually develop into possibly a playoff team down the road? Not next year for sure, but maybe down the road.
You think it's weird? Have you ever heard of the number one pick not working out for the team that took him? Is that weird? He never worked out for Orlando, never even visited the city.
Yeah, and they did a Zoom with him. That was it. And they loved him. So I don't know. Yeah, I've never, ever heard of that. I guess except for the COVID deal, but certainly who was the pick that year? I don't even remember.
I don't either.
Certainly he went there at some point before they picked him. I have to imagine.
He was I've got trivia for you. You ready? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yep.
One of two Division I freshmen in history, 600 points, 300 rebounds, 100 assists. Who was the other one?
The other one would have been. Can you give me a decade?
Yeah, we know his godfather.
Was it?
We're friends with him.
With his.
He played at LSU. How about that? Does that help? He played in Australia. He was 6'10". We coached against him in the EYBL. Nobody in the world likes him anymore because he's not playing. Ben.
Really?
Yeah. Ben Simmons, 600, 300, 100. So Ben Simmons and Paolo Banchero, that's it. And Division I players that have gone 600, 300.
He was like 1911 and 7, wasn't he? Something like that?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of forget about it because we think he should have scored like 4,000 points. But
isn't that amazing? You just said he played at LSU. We know his godfather. And I went completely blank because I have removed Ben Simmons from my mind altogether.
I know, because we're talking about basketball. So the thought never occurred to you that Ben Simmons would come up in conversation. But I am wishing the best for him. I do hope he makes a comeback. And again, he's a very hot topic in the basketball card world. I know you don't live in that world, but as you can imagine, there's a lot of people that were left holding the bag on Ben Simmons cards that bought way too high, and right now he's way too low. So I kind of hope for those people that they do be able to kind of squeeze some money out of that. But
mega talent, man, mega talent.
Yeah, mega talent. Now, even if he never shot a basketball, he could still help a team win a championship because he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and maybe the most versatile defender in the entire NBA. I think. Who knows?
Maybe, and I'm gonna throw it out there. Maybe of all time.
I've never seen a 6'10", 240 that can push Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving back across half court after they've crossed it, right? And just move laterally like he does. So he's special on that end. But again, that doesn't sell tickets, and it doesn't make basketball card values go up. So he's got some negative heat. Tell me this, one word answer: Paolo Banchero, franchise player?
No.
Okay. Well, if the answer to that is no, then I think we're about to go through the lottery, and there's about to be 13 more no's. Maybe not. We'll see where we go from here. Anything else you want to add about Banchero before we move on to Super Chat?
I do think, when you look at the average age of all these, the first, 14, 15 picks, of course it's, in that 19 to 20 range. But I feel like Banchero, even though he's 19, I feel like he's like 30 right now.
He looks it. Yeah.
I know that, but I'm like, his game is a little more mature. And these kids right now, they didn't shoot the ball well from the free throw line. When I say well, I mean like he was 73. Right? I think all that stuff is going to improve when it becomes their job. I think he's going to become a serviceable 3-point shooter. So when it becomes their job, you just got to project skill sets, and I think he's got a chance to be a really, really, really good NBA player, just not a franchise dude.
Yeah, like Boozer, just like I said the first time.
Yeah, but just nothing like him, right?
Just nothing like him, right? So, and there's one thing you touched on a topic there. You said you think his shooting percentages will improve. That's one thing that I've learned from just prospecting in basketball cards and really just watching NBA drafts and watching players progress over the course of my life is if there's one thing you can usually count on from these alpha types, right? Guys who have great potential is usually their shooting percentages improve until they get to those peak years in their prime, right? Their late 20s, kind of right to age 30, 31. And then it starts to decline on the downside of that because it's more difficult to create space.
Correct.
They can't take bumps as well. They can't get as much lift to create gaps, to get clean looks. Right. And so that's one thing that does increase in the NBA. And then the one thing that I know translates from college to the NBA usually is rebounding, they say, right? Like if you're a mad, big-time rebounder in college, you're going to be all right in the NBA rebounding the ball. But shooting usually progresses when you get in the NBA. So there's our thoughts on Banchero. Is that who you would have taken number one?
It is, because I'm just not sold on any of these other dudes.
Yeah.
And I'm taking into account who's drafting him, right?
Yep.
So that mattered to me.
You like him in Orlando more than Jabari or Chet. Fair enough. Okay, let's move on to number two. Let's just get it out of the way. Have you ever seen a human being shaped like this?
Never.
Okay, I mean, Bull maybe.
It's disturbing / intriguing all at the same time. Right?
It is. When my son told me about, he's like, watch this video, and I looked at it. I thought it was like one of those. You were going to tell me he's like 11 years old and he lives in New Zealand or some weird crap. And I was like, and then I watched it, and he moves a lot better than most people that are shaped like him. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't move like Bull. He's got a little more springiness. He certainly doesn't move like Sean Bradley. Not that he's Sean Bradley's 7'6" or whatever, but I don't remember a guy this tall, this thin that had as much burst. And I hate to say burst, like not Ja Morant burst, but like he moves back and forth pretty well.
He does, and I think he'll, with short shot clocks, right, he will have the ability to make, on a switch if he has to, make a handler turn once. And if he can make them turn once, then you're in help. We're going to see, though, the thing, he's a giant insect, right? Like he's like those old movies that were, the graphics were terrible. And so like these big monster insects, that's what I feel like Chet Holmgren is. But he covers so much ground. And the other thing is that I'm sure you were going to mention it, like Walker Kessler, his timing is amazing, man. Like,
fantastic.
His timing is amazing both on the defensive end and the offensive end. Like if you go watch him tip tip offensive rebounds. Like, he's got great timing with it, great touch, all that stuff. He's just 185 pounds.
If you had to say your number one primary concern, it is unquestionably he's missing 45 pounds at least. Yeah, I mean, he's missing it. And then the question is, can he put it on? Yeah, he can put it on. He's going to have a team of people feeding him cheeseburgers and Smoothie King. But the question is, will he move the same when he tacks on those 35, 40 pounds? Will he move the same? Like Kevin Durant moves better at 240 than Kevin Durant moved his rookie year at whatever he was, 205, right?
Because he's stronger, right? So that's
stronger. And Chet will get stronger.
Yeah, what type of weight does he put on? And look, with the nutrition of today, I think he's got a chance. You know, he is certainly, unquestionably, the most intriguing, risky, prospect here, because the dude could be a Hall of Famer, or he could be an absolute bust, right? And I think there's probably very little in between for him as a thing.
Agreed. I think he's one or the other. I don't know. I mean, he's just an anomaly. He really is. I mean, let's talk about the Thunder, right? So the Thunder picked up a few draft picks, but let's talk about where Holmgren fits in. They're set, I think. I love SGA and Giddey together. Giddey showed flashes of being a preeminent point guard in the NBA. I kind of wish, instead of SGA, who can't shoot a basketball, I kind of wish they had a much better, almost like a CJ McCollum or somebody next to Giddey. But SGA is great with the ball in his hands as well. So you almost got two ball dominant guys. I mean, Giddey's probably a point forward, because what is he, 6'7", something like that. SGA is about 6'5", 6'6", also a ball dominant guard. It's just a weird fit. We're going to talk about that for Detroit in a second. So Jaden Ivey's not in the picture for OKC. So they're choosing between Chet Holmgren and Jabari Smith, right? That's their options. Would you have gone with Chet, or would you have gone with Jabari?
I would have gone with Jabari. But, I mean, again, just because I think of the risk factor involved. But apparently OKC was dead set. They weren't wavering. That was going to be their guy no matter what. And so they know something we don't know. So, we'll see what happens. Again, the ceiling – those are the two highest ceiling guys in the draft, right? Holmgren and Jabari, for sure.
Okay.
Jabari's high. I think Jabari's ceiling may be a little higher, just because I think he's always going to be more athletic than Chet Holmgren. He just is. But it's what and what from a standpoint of down the road what their potential is, and I don't know. I would have gone with Jabari just because I think he's the next best player.
Yeah, I would have too. But I would have taken Chet. Well, again, it depends on your personnel, right? Because we haven't gotten to a team, and we're not going to get to a team anytime soon that should take Jaden Ivey based on fit, right? That's Jaden Ivey is my best player in the draft.
Yeah,
all right,
that was one too.
Yeah. Are you okay? Cool. So we haven't talked about this beforehand. That's my best player in the draft. If, for instance, fill in the blank team that needs the Knicks, for God's sakes. If the Knicks had the number one pick, Jaden Ivey. That's what I'm going to say. Knicks take Jaden. Anybody that needs a point guard like that, or Celtics, for God's sakes, right? Jaden Ivey. Clearly, that would be their number one pick. So the thing about the Thunder, Jonathan, just a couple of notes. They have 14 picks over the next 5 drafts. That's insane. Not only can they not use 14 picks, but they could package those to bring somebody in with the initials of KD, I'm hearing, as a possibility. Could you imagine if KD follows in the footsteps of LeBron and goes back to his original franchise where he couldn't win with, and then wins them a title with a bunch of these guys that are going to develop? Problem is, all of these guys are still in the process of development. No way. You're shaking your head. There's no way KD ends up there. It's all fluff.
Yeah. Now, if people of the caliber of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love show up in their primes as well, then sure, let's talk about it. But with what's there right now, it's not happening.
Yeah. Do you think, yes or no answer, Chet Holmgren ever scores 20 points per game in the NBA?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, if he scores 20 points per game, he's an all-star, because he's gonna average 8, 9, 10 rebounds a game. Yeah. He's gonna shoot a great percentage, I would think, just because he has so many easy buckets, and he's gonna block a hell of a lot of shots.
I think he'll block shots. I think he will at some point in time average right around there. And I do believe he'll be an all-star down the road. I can see all of those things happening. Going back to Jaden Ivey, I think Jaden Ivey can average 28 in the
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you too. Yeah. And we're going to get to him in a second, because he strikes me as a bigger Morant. So my two player comps. Sorry, I forgot my player comps. You love them so much after
Yes.
the boozer. I've got Porzingis minus 45 pounds,
Yes.
and then I've got Bol, but significantly better. So really, we're just making stereotypical comments based on the way people look and they're shaped, right? Because he doesn't play like either one of those guys.
No, but Porzingis is the closest thing to it.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So,
I agree. Hopefully he stays healthier. If yes or no, he breaks an arm or a leg in his first season because he's just the smallest kid I've ever seen.
Let's take it a step further. Yes or no, he breaks 2 at one time.
Well, I'll tell you what he didn't do to help his case for keeping all of his bones intact. Did you see the interview where they asked him who the best player in the NBA was? And he said, me in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's not enough.
How about putting a big fat target on your back, right? I mean, that was poor judgment. I don't like that.
He would not have said that in the 90s when you could actually take people out and it'd just be a foul. So
he wouldn't have made it to the draft. He probably would have disappeared, right? Vernon Maxwell would have tracked him down, or Alvin Robertson, or one of those cats, right? Just took him out pre-draft. So yeah, a lot of people are throwing out Chet Holmgren is just like KD. He does KD things. Not there. A lot taller. Well, not a lot taller, about the same height, but much thinner. But KD, the one thing I'll say, the only parallel between these two guys is people are like, KD's one of the greatest shooters of all time. Yeah, he is. Guess what? He shot 37% his rookie year, 38%. And the reason was he couldn't get easy buckets. He didn't weigh enough. And so every time, he tried to create space, he couldn't get people off of him. He never got easy buckets at the rim. He wasn't strong enough to blow by. And so when he was shoulder to shoulder, he couldn't shoulder through contact and carry people to the rim like he does now. People still act like he's skinny and he looks thin, but he's about 240, right? I mean, that's a big difference between 195 and 240.
He's a lot stronger. And the other thing is, KD was already he's become an elite ball handler, but he was already a serviceable ball handler when he entered the league, right? And I know Chet Holmgren is serviceable as a ball handler for his position and his height, but he's not an elite ball handler. So here's where I think he's going to run into his biggest problems. I think the issue is, you talk about, okay, well, is he a 5? Is he a 4? Well, who cares what that is, right? My issue is this. How's he going to deal with a 6'7", 6'8" athlete in a small ball lineup who, when he tries to post, which is going to be not as often as it used to be, right? He's going to get shoved off the block.
Bam Adebayo.
Yeah. Bam Adebayo's 6'9", though, right? Okay, yeah, use him. That's fine. Or that guy can now get up underneath him and not let him move, right?
Yes.
Because his feet are so good. So what happens then? Is he able to get separation? Is he able to do, Dirk type stuff where he just shoots it over guys?
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah, that's the question. Can he get you in the mid range and be a one dribble spin fadeaway, a one dribble spin pump fake, those kind of things? I don't know. He's got a really good IQ, so we're going to see. All right, enough on Chet Holmgren. He's unique. He looks like a giant skeleton. I think he's must-see TV because I like watching Giddey. I like watching SGA. I like watching him. And then every game there's a chance that Lugens Dort murders somebody. So that for that reason, League Pass OKC is a must, right?
You have to check in on Lou Dort. You have to because
he would be one of the greatest UFC fighters in the world. I'll stand by that. Okay.
Yeah, Kimbo slicing him would be a great fight.
Exactly. Okay, number 3, let's move on. We got our guy Jabari Smith, the guy everybody thought the day before was going to be number 1. Let's pull him up. He is from Auburn University, of course. Got drafted by the Houston Rockets. This is one of my favorite League Pass teams. For those, you probably don't know. Well, I love Kevin Porter Jr. I'm a huge Kevin Porter Jr. guy. He never gets mentioned. They talk about Jalen Green all the time, but Kevin Porter Jr. never gets mentioned. Jabari Smith is 6'10". I didn't see his weight on here. What do you think he is? Maybe 215, 220?
Yeah, they list him at 220.
220, okay.
Yeah, so we'll go there.
Yeah, 6'10", 220. Okay, not Chet Holmgren, so a little bit thicker. They were in a no-brainer spot. They had absolutely no choice. Fair? They were going to take at the 3 spot one of those big 3 bigs, no matter what. It didn't matter who it was, and they probably would have been okay with any of those 3 just because based on team needs, all 3 of those guys fit what they have.
Correct. And again, especially listening to post-draft info, it was that Holmgren was stuck at 2. OKC was taking him for sure. So ultimately, it was either Banchero at 1 and Smith at 3, or vice versa, which we all thought it was going to be Smith at 1. But Vegas has a way of finagling that a little bit.
Yeah. No, well, and you got to remember, people see odds in Vegas and they're like, oh, well, this must be. It doesn't necessarily mean what's most likely. It's Vegas trying to spread money, right? Vegas trying to make money on the spread. So if they're getting too many bets in one direction, they're going to move that line to make sure they get an equal number of bets. They're just trying to balance bets, right? And so a lot of people forget about Vegas odds. They're a little bit different than what they think they are. They manipulate those. So I heard in a workout, well, I've heard numerous scouts say Jabari Smith's the best shooter in the draft, which is saying a lot for a 6'10" guy who's going to play probably the 4, in some small ball 5. Mm-hmm. I've heard he made 45 out of 50 NBA threes in his workout. Now, again, that's in an NBA gym, right? But that's still 90%. That's a lot of NBA threes in a workout. And maybe just the sun was shining on a dog's ass one day, but I don't think Banchero was going to make 45 out of 50 threes on any given day.
No, and I wouldn't think anybody else in the draft would, except for what was the kid's name in the second round, the foreign kid. Anyhow, I'll remember it later.
We'll figure it out.
But nonetheless, I think that your issue with him is simple. First of all, when I watched him play, first time I saw him play this year, it was an SEC game. I can't remember who they're playing. It might have been Kentucky. But his release is phenomenal. Okay. Yeah. And it is, he shoots it really easily. He is fundamentally sound. He can catch it at the pinch post, turn face up, and just shoot it over you. But when you look at the numbers, okay, he shoots 42 from 3, but only 42.9 overall, right? And I think that's where lack of physicality is going to be his issue. And you look at the Rockets, and I know you like that as a league pass team. I think it's a team full of diseases when it comes to offense. And I think he may struggle with that because he's not going to touch the ball nearly as often as he was. And he really, if you watched him play in college, he really wasn't super, super aggressive and super, super assertive. Now he's great. He's a freshman, and I just look at, you got 2 mega alphas on that team already offensively who can score the ball. And then you got a young kid coming in. I don't know, man. I don't like the fit. I really do not like the fit for him. Yeah. Yeah. Personnel-wise, it makes all the sense in the world.
Sure.
I don't know, man. We're going to see with him.
He's not going to – even if he thinks he has a green light, he can clap all he wants. That ball ain't coming to him from Jalen Green and Kevin Porter. But I will say this, and I know I'm very, very biased, but Kevin Porter I thought was overly giving of the ball to Jalen Green, considering, well, they both shot horrific percentages. Let's just be honest about it. But I thought KPJ was kind of going out of his way to be facilitator first, scorer second. And I don't think that's not the way he should approach the NBA game. He should approach the game as, I'm going to drop 40 on you unless you try to stop me and you help and you trap and do those things, and then I'll start passing the ball. But, again, all these guys are babies, Jonathan. I mean, these guys are babies. They're so young. I mean, they're 4 years behind Jason Tatum, who everybody's like, well, Jason Tatum's still just a baby. Well, he's 23, 24, whatever. I mean, these guys are even younger. So, especially at that perimeter, at the point guard position, it's just really hard to develop that soon, that fast. John Morant's just a freakish exception to the rule,
But take into account when Jason Tatum came into the league, when John Morant came into the league, when you take some of these other guys, okay, they played a higher level of winning basketball than Jalen Green and Kevin Porter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It festers. It festers, Jonathan.
Yeah, and look, that's me coming off of a series where I watched Jason Tatum really struggle in the finals because he forced too much stuff, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is he comes in the league. He's not the main guy because Isaiah Thomas was on the team at the time. And, I think that, those guys were super interested in winning. I don't think those guys in Houston are interested in winning. I think they're interested in the limelight and the stats and the money and all that. And look, I may be 100% wrong. I don't know any of them, right? I just watch the way they play. I don't like.
Well, and I know you don't mess around on Twitter, and I don't either, but everybody knows I collect KPJ, and they're like, man, you should have seen your guy on Twitter the other day. He and Jalen Green were at the beach. They were drinking. They had cigars, and they had girls everywhere. And it was like, he needs to get his ass in the gym, man. They need to get their butt in the gym. And they're like, he had a shirt off. He didn't look real lean. And I'm like, well, that scares me as an investor, you know.
Yep.
That would really scare me as the GM of Houston because those two guys pretty much dictate everything. You're right. Cancerous type attitudes can fester. The good news is they got the biggest cancer out of there, Christian Wood. But we'll see if these two guys apparently like each other. And so sometimes that will bring, you know, a team together. They seem to like each other despite the fact they're always fighting over FGAs, you know.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so can they move John Wall? That's the question. The Rockets can move John Wall and bring in a Jeremy Grant type guy, you know, they're not going to bring in some super all NBA guy. They're not going to bring in Bradley Beal because he's duplicative of Jalen. But can they bring in like a really good 3-and-D guy if they can move Wall's contract? Does that move the needle at all for Houston, or they're just like at least 2-3 years away?
No, they're at least 2-3 years away for sure. And I think they're going to have to move one of their two centerpieces right now.
You think so?
I believe so. Yeah, because you're going to have to, you know, addition by subtraction a little bit in that situation, because it's kind of like what Boston's dealing with Tatum and Brown, right? I mean, you're kind of hamstringing one of those guys by having the other one around. Now, the difference in the Boston situation is those two dudes guard, right? They guard.
Yes. Well, one of them especially, yes.
Yeah, but the Rockets do not. So you're going to have to move one of those guys.
They do not guard. I know that from watching League Pass. And maybe that comes with maturity. I don't know. But they aren't right now. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, that takes maturity. That takes sacrifice. That takes a lot of things that we haven't seen from either one of those two guys yet. But again, they're tiny little babies. So let's give them a little bit of time to mature and grow as men. All right. And so, and we know a little bit about Jabari Smith's dad, right? We got to watch him play at LSU. He's got two of his best plays in history at LSU were the exact same fake wraparound 1 foot, 1 hand dunk, right? Once against Grambling and once against, I think, Arizona. Arizona, yeah. So same move twice. Both were exceptional. So that's what we remember about Jabari Smith. We really like him. Was he was there when Stromile Swift was there, right?
Sure was. He was an all-SEC guy. He was a
good player.
Second-round pick, I think. Second-round pick when he came out. Bounced around for a little bit. But no, he was a really good college player.
Yeah. I think he had a cup of coffee with the Kings, I think, if I recall. He played with the Kings, huh? Okay. Number 4, Keegan Murray.
You got to back up. Who's your comp?
Oh, my comp. I keep forgetting my comps. You know, I've got Chris Bosh on here just because he's the same height. He's left-handed, so it's hard to look past that. I've got Bosh on here because Bosh was kind of soft, right? That was kind of the knock on him as well. I don't know if Bosh shot it the same way. And, of course, guys back then didn't shoot it the three, anything like these guys that are 6'10" now, or shoot it as often. But I've got Bosh as the comp on, because I don't think Jabari Smith's all that athletic, dude. I mean, I know he looks like he would be. I just don't. I think he's okay. I think he's got okay athleticism, but he doesn't have plus athleticism by NBA standards. So I've got Bosh as my comp. What do you think about that?
Bosh is who everybody had as the comp, right? I think he is. I think Bosh was a better defender when he was younger in Toronto than Jabari Smith is right now. I'm going to throw a name at you and just hear me out on it before you crush it, because you know, at times it'll. I don't know. Anyhow, so offensively, I see some Tobias Harris in his future. In other words, he's going to be a better three-point shooter than Tobias Harris is, okay? But just a guy, I think he's going to be a better creator than people realize 2-3 years down the road. I think he's going to be able to 1-2 dribble pull up. I think he's going to be a good, pick and pop and rip guy, getting to the rim potentially. The spacing is so much different. So while Tobias Harris is never going to be a great three-point shooter, and I think Jabari Smith is going to be a great three-point shooter before it's over with, that's the one definitive difference. I see some of that in his future. It's not right now, but I see it potentially.
Do you, if you had to say that 14 years from now, when Jabari Smith's career is over, is he closer to Tobias Harris or is he closer to a Hall of Famer like Chris Bosh as far as statistical accolades and accomplishments in the NBA?
The ceiling's high, man. It would be closer to Bosh, I would say.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out on a limb here and say he's a Hall of Famer because Bosh would have been. And Bosh's numbers would have been, I mean, dude, if he had stayed healthy and he had never teamed up with Wade and LeBron, his numbers would be preposterous. I mean, look, I've got it pulled up early in his career. I mean, he's 22 plus and 24 plus in Toronto. Dude, look how many stars are next to his name. What is that, 10 All-Star team? Maybe an all-star team damn near every year he was in the league from age 21 on.
Yeah, he made 11 all-star teams. I mean,
he's a 22-10 guy. That's not normal. So especially not for a full decade. So okay, so we're done with Jabari. We're moving on. So we knew a little bit about Jabari's dad. We really know something about Keegan Murray's dad because we played AU basketball together. Our sophomore year, we went to the national tournament back when the national tournament actually meant something. We went down to San Antonio with our team from Louisiana. And back then, every state got, well, not every state, but most states got 2 teams into the national tournament, and you just played a big, giant-ass tournament, right? I don't know if Alaska or Hawaii had teams, but most states you could get 2 teams eligible. And we got to play against Kalamazoo, Michigan, and they had an absolute phenom monster who looked like a 27-year-old grown man named Keegan Murray. And he was very difficult to defend. And he was a very good player. And he went on to play at Iowa, and he was fantastic there, all Big Ten there as well. And so Keegan Murray is Keegan Murray's son. So we got to play against Keegan Murray's dad. But you have another story. You are even more familiar with Keegan Murray. Tell everybody watching what you know about this kid, Keegan Murray.
So during the pandemic, Skylar Mays, who played here at LSU, like we talked about earlier, I basically, because of his inability to get to Chicago to Priority Sports, which is Mark Bartelstein and those guys, probably one of the 3 biggest NBA agencies in the world, he couldn't get to them to do his training. So he stayed here, and we would go into our facility and train during that time. And their agency ended up hiring me as his trainer. So as I'm training him, I'm developing a relationship with those guys. Well, for those couple of years, they wanted me to come up and help with some of the pre-draft training. Asked me, look, could you come up? And well, the issue was the COVID wouldn't allow it, and then there was the funky schedule the next year that wouldn't allow it. This past, it was about, I don't know, 2 months ago, I was actually able to go up to Chicago for a week and help with some of the pre-draft training where Keegan Murray was training. And, I was involved with several different sessions that he was involved in, but there was one in particular where it was just me and him because he wasn't allowed to play in any of the competitive stuff, obviously, because they didn't want him to get hurt. And I'm watching this kid the whole week, and I'm like, he is a robot, like in a good way, right? He's a robot from a standpoint of no facial expression, just gets to work. A lot of guys who are projected lottery picks, they were probably in Vegas, LA, partying, having fun, whatever. This dude was in the gym just getting after it, just working. So I have this one-on-one session with him, and we're working on pick and pop stuff, and I'm talking about shallow versus depth and this and that. And he said very little. All he did was make every shot he took just about. And his shot aesthetically is basically perfect. Okay. No movement on his guide hand, perfect follow through, no excess movement. And so you can tell he's been trained, I'm assuming by his father, right? So at the end of the session, okay, 15-minute session, me and him, no stops, just go. Phenomenal conditioning already, okay? He asked me, he's like, okay, so coach, what type of coverage would they be in to determine whether or not I go shallow or deep? And I'm like, oh my God, I love you. No wonder you're going to be. And so as I'm explaining to him why it's this way, he just looks at me at the end. He's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Turns around and walks away. And I'm like, this kid's going to make it. He's going to make it for sure. Now, he's going through an interesting situation as well, right, in Sacramento. I just think he's such a super solid dude. I think he's going to be a very, very good NBA player no matter where he goes.
Yeah. So comps. I think you're going to like my first one, but he might be better laterally. I like Danny Granger. What do you think about that as a comp?
It's not bad. He's bigger than Granger was. They list him at 6'8", I think. Yeah. Man, I think he's taller. I think he's taller. Now.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I like, everybody wants to call him Pascal Siakam.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Hell no.
I don't see that because he shoots it better. Siakam's turned into a decent shooter, but he shoots
it better today.
Yeah, correct.
He shoots it better right now, for sure.
And he's more efficient with his movement too.
Yeah.
Right? So Granger's not bad.
What do you think about Glenn Rice?
No. Glenn Rice was an elite shooter. And
what do you think about Paul George? A smaller Paul George. And Paul George, when he got in the NBA, was 6'8". He grew to 6'2".
Correct, but Paul George was a handler already when he came into the league. And
Keegan's not a handler. He's not. He
handles it okay. He's just not going to be an initiator, right?
Handle it to score. He can handle it to score. We talk about handling and ability to dribble the basketball. There's a couple of types of ball handlers in the NBA. There's guys who initiate offense that are high usage guys that get other people involved and create opportunities for the teammates to score. That's handling to initiate offense, right, and for the sake of handling oftentimes. And then there's just handling to get yours, as they say on street ball. Keegan Murray can handle the ball to get his.
Yes, and he's not going to be a guy who you put into pick and roll action as the handler, right? He's not going to do that right now. Maybe eventually, but right now he would be the pick and pop guy. I just think if you go back, if you watch any film of him ever, his movements, there is zero wasted motion. Zero.
Yeah, I've watched it.
And the other thing, which is, and you know guys like this, Brian, we've seen a million of them, guys who you don't feel like they're playing very hard or moving very fast, but their guy never goes by them.
Yeah.
They get every defensive rebound.
Yeah.
They're able to get by their guy if they want to. They can create space. They never get their shot blocked. I mean, he's just that guy.
Yeah, you just described me in my 20s. I can't believe I've got so much in common with Keegan Murray, right? I'm probably a little more athletic, and probably a little bit worse attitude. Probably a little more confident too.
You're more in the Jalen Green mode back then.
Yes, I am. You're right. I'm in the background of the beach photo with Jalen and KPJ getting it. So this was the team. I'm just going to call it like it is. This is the team nobody wanted to go to. Yes. But if anybody could get into Sacramento and make it work, it's probably Keegan Murray. It sounds like good head on his shoulders, good mom and dad, good solid foundation, a pro's pro, ready to just teach me, show me how to be a pro. Again, nobody wants to go to Sacramento, not just because they suck and have sucked forever. Management's terrible and always in flux. No one wants to live in Sacramento. Sorry if any of my viewers are in Sacramento, but I'm just calling it like I see it or I've heard. I've never been there. But I don't see it as a huge free agent destination. So if you're going to grow something in Sacramento, you better draft your ass off is all I got to say, right? It's kind of the same thing with OKC. If you really want to make it happen, you're going to have to get there and trade or get there by the draft because no free agents are going to say, I can't wait to get to Sacramento.
Not anymore. Not after, look, if it didn't work with Weber and Divac and Stojakovic and Jason Williams and Bibby and those guys, you're not getting that. That's not coming again. Not like that.
I don't think it is either. So he's in the mix right from the jump with Harrison Barnes and Mo Harkless. Does he kind of come off the bench and be a rotation guy for a year, or do they plug that mug in there right away and say, that's your wing right there, and then Harrison Barnes comes off the bench? Or I guess they could move some pieces around. I mean,
yeah. Because
they're not going to win anything.
Barnes could play the 4, right? I mean, he could in today's game.
Yeah.
Keegan's definitely a 3.5, 4. Could play super small ball 5. Physically, he's a little stronger than he looks, but he's wiry. I think that with him, here's the deal: regardless of what he does, the way I envision it with him, if he comes off the bench at the beginning of the year, they're not going to be able to keep him on the bench.
Right. So he's going to earn his way in.
Start. Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, if there is such thing as a window for Sacramento, Harrison Barnes ain't in it. We know that, right? And so, if you're going to opt for a wing and they're what right now, and Barnes brings some stuff to the table, but I think you throw Keegan Murray in there. Barnes could play the undersized 4 and then make them a really, really high tempo team. And they play with a really high tempo. Sabonis doesn't really help the tempo. But I guess you're looking at Fox and then either Davion Mitchell or DiVincenzo at the 2, Keegan Murray, Barnes, and then Sabonis at the 5 with Rashawn Holmes coming off the bench.
Murray, in my opinion, Keegan has to start. Like, you got to start day 1, but I'm not sure they're going to. I don't know how they handle. I don't know what the hell Sacramento thinks, honestly.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Yeah. If any team in this draft needed to be in the top 3, it was Sacramento.
They did.
Right?
They did.
Because any of those 3 guys paired next to Sabonis would have been perfect.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So that's it for Keegan. You see him as an all-star one day, yes or no? It's tough, man. There's not that many of those out there, man. Same guys are getting it every year.
Man, I'm going to say yes. I'm pulling for the kid, but I'm going to say it's not going to happen in Sacramento.
That's a pretty safe assumption, right? If Darren Fox averaged like 24 and 10 and did not make an all-star team, that pretty much seals the deal.
That's the same thing as saying, I'm going to say Sacramento's not going to win an NBA title in the next 5 years. Yeah,
probably not. That's probably true. All right, fair enough. We're done with Keegan. Okay, I like Keegan. You like Keegan. Big time player right there. And now we get to our guy that we think was the best, or at least probably has the most upside in the draft, Jaden Ivy. I was sitting there. I was like, please don't. I did not want Jaden Ivy to go number 5 to Detroit because I think the Pacers are next, and I think the Pacers are in the process of moving Brogdon. I think they're trying to move Brogdon and Miles Turner. So I was thinking that would be a place where Jaden Ivy could really thrive. I like watching Cade Cunningham. He really came on strong towards the end of the season. It really started clicking. And everybody was real concerned at first because he couldn't hit the side of the barn with his jumper. And then he started to click, and he started to figure the game out, and it really slowed down. And he didn't have a lot of help around him, but he still started putting up really good numbers. So I was kind of hoping that Jaden did not go to Detroit, but they had to take the best player available. I hate the fit. I think it's horrific. I think it's as bad as it gets. He's a ball-dominant point guard. Cade is a ball-dominant point guard. Who slides to the 2? Cade?
He will.
Yeah.
He will. They'll play. It'll be a dual thing, but I think Cunningham's your point guard there for point whatever you want to call it there for as long as he's there. I look at Ivy as, and I know he's a combo and a ball dominant guy and all that. I look at him as a freaking scoring machine in the NBA at some point. That's why I think the fit may be a little better than you feel it might be. It is certainly not ideal. That is for sure. Okay. But one of his biggest issues is he's not a great catch and shoot guy. But part of the reason is because he takes a low volume of those because he's always got the ball in his hands. If he can develop that, I think Cunningham's a dude who makes the game easier for the guys around him. He always has. And it may end up working out okay. The reality is, though, you have those two guys. You got to get another serious dude at some point.
Oh, they're not even
playoffs in order to even think about it. They're not going to do that next year, obviously, but I'm just saying.
I'm not asking you any questions about Detroit because nothing I asked you is relevant. They're at least 2-3 years away, and they need another all-star caliber type player or uber super prospect. When I don't think I'm going to surprise anybody when I say that my comp for Jaden Ivy is Dellavedova. I think they're almost the exact same player.
And anybody who thinks differently doesn't watch the game. They don't.
Right. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but if you don't think he's like Dellavedova, your opinion is wrong.
And really, it's more of a mix, and people may remember this former Orlando Magic point guard, kind of a mix of Dellavedova and Chris Corchiani. It's really kind of in the same mold.
Yes.
Both those guys are super long and rangy and athletic. And,
it's like creating the perfect point guard, right? And blending those two guys, Dellavedova and Corchiani. Yeah. Okay. No, but seriously. Probably you can't look at him and not think John Morant just because of recency bias. John Morant just did this. He just came out of nowhere, just like this kid did. Jaden Ivey, believe it or not, is significantly bigger than John Morant. He's 6'4", 200. That's pretty good size. He's put together a little bit better. Ja's tiny, almost Iverson-like. And so I think Jaden Ivey's frame. Jaden Ivey could look like I hate to use Chris Dunn as an example, but he could look like Chris Dunn maybe in a year, 6'4", 210, 212. That's a tank, man. Chauncey Billups kind of build.
Dwayne Wade?
Yeah, Dwayne Wade, that kind of build, right? Who knows? Well, let's talk about Jaden Ivey. What else we got? Terrible fit, 2 dominant ball, high usage point guards. I don't like that, but bye-bye Killian Hayes. He's absolutely irrelevant. I thought he was terrible anyway. Gone. Yeah, go back to France and play in France. Detroit, I have my notes. My notes literally say Detroit still sucks ass. Fair?
Yes.
Terrible. They're not even remotely going to sniff the playoffs.
Do they win 25 games? No way.
Okay, yeah. Because and the reason I say that, you just shipped out your second best player, which may be third, but Jeremy Grant is now gone. You got nothing, useful in return other than picks. And then your bigs are Sadiq Bey, Bagley, and Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah,
and I guess unless you count Kelly Olynyk, that's not going to get you into the playoffs in the East in the NBA anymore.
Every one of those guys, playoff team comes off the bench. Every one of them.
Yes. All right, I got 3 guys, and you've got to put them in order of most athletic. I don't even want you to explain yourself. Just answer the question.
Yep.
John Morant, Jaden Ivy and Derrick Rose.
Prime Derrick Rose, obviously, right? Okay, so I'm going to go Ja, Derrick, and Ivy. And let's just say that all three are absurdly close. Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Where do you put prime Russell Westbrook in that class?
I like to qualify my answers because I separate athleticism into horizontal and vertical. But if I had to put him in there, I'm not answering your question. I don't know. I'm about to cut this thing off because I hate even trying to answer it. I would put Westbrook. I just haven't seen enough Jaden Ivy to put him in that conversation, but I've seen highlight clips where it makes you go, whoa, you're not supposed to dunk the ball in that situation or off that foot. That's not normal, right? The difference between those three guys and Westbrook is with the ball in a straight line, I don't think any of those guys are as fast as Westbrook. That's just me. So horizontally, I say horizontally, I mean ground-bound athleticism from A to B, I think Westbrook is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Prime Westbrook, right? Prime Westbrook. So
I would say this, okay, and I have an argument that I think Russell Westbrook might be the greatest athlete in the history of the world, okay? And here's why I say that.
Yeah.
None of those guys you named could consistently, on a made basket, which Russell Westbrook probably gave up, by the way,
yes,
could take an inbound pass and go dunk it on the other end.
Right.
Off an inbounds, okay?
Yeah.
And I've seen him do it tens of times.
And here's the other thing people don't realize with Westbrook is he's blowing by people who aren't really closing out on him because he can't shoot. These guys can actually shoot a little bit, right? I mean, a little bit. And Westbrook has always got this huge gap, but even in his prime, it didn't matter. Now, obviously, he's declining and diminishing, which is sad to see, but it happens to everybody. So that's a tough one right there. That's four nasty, freakishly athletic dudes.
Yeah.
Does he have more upside than any of the big three that we named, and Keegan Murray? Does he have the most upside of the five guys that we've talked about?
I think he does.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he does because I think his game translates the most easily out of all of them.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the spacing in the league for him, even as bad as Detroit is, I think he's going to put up a bunch of empty stats, but it's going to be a lot of them. It's
going to be a lot of them. The kind of the correlation. The reason I think he's going to explode when he gets the league is because the four guys that got drafted before him that we just named, Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, Banchero, and Keegan Murray, were all bigger than their opponents in their opposition. And so they got to bully people. He thrived in college, but it's almost going to be like he's getting uncaged when he gets in the NBA. 100%. And when there's that much more space, dudes with this type of electric athleticism and ball handling and scoring ability, I think he's going to be unleashed on the NBA, very similar to what John Morant did.
I think he's a dude who can come in the league, and this is saying something now. I think he can shoot 7 to 8 free throws a game. I think he can get in that 7 or 8 free throw attempt.
Yeah, and that's it, man. That's how you get to 25. You don't get to 25 points per game unless you're getting 6, 7, 8 free throw attempts a game, or 10. In some cases with Harden and Giannis. All right, we're not even going to talk about Detroit. We both think that he can be a franchise guy. It's going to be weird watching him develop side by side with Cade because I think Cade's a potential franchise guy as well. It's just going to be really weird. Again, I guess I'd like to watch that team on League Pass, but I don't know. I guess it's going to be weird. Let's just say that. Next, Benedict Mathurin. I'm not really sure. I think it's Mathurin. Big, strong, physical wing out of Arizona. Got drafted by Indiana, which is where I was hoping Jaden would drop to. But Benedict Mathurin goes to Indiana. 6'6", 210, 215. Fantastic looking NBA body on the wing. Body comps, just like the way he looks, right? Anthony Edwards, Isaac Okoro, DeAndre Hunter. Those three guys, that's what he strikes me as physically, the way he moves and things like that. Anthony Edwards is a little bit thicker, obviously, than 210, so he's in a little bit of a different class there. Who do you see him as an NBA comp? Anybody that comes to mind?
Jaylen Brown.
Yes.
I see it. I think he's he scores it well.
Great
comp with another really good player as well, another first-round pick. So I see that. I like, when you say stuff like Anthony Edwards, like Jaylen Brown is freakishly athletic. Anthony Edwards is like alien athletic.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
I don't see this kid as that necessarily.
No.
So I would like him more.
I just meant body-wise. Certainly I'm not comparing his athleticism to now I might compare it to Jaylen Brown, who's a very, very elite athlete, right? But, yeah, you're right. Anthony Edwards is in a whole nother world. Anthony Edwards, John Morant, Rose, Westbrook, LeBron, young LeBron, guys like that, different world. He is a perfect fit for Indiana. If I'm not mistaken, they're going to move Brogdon. It sounds like they're not taking no for an answer. They're going to find a way to move Brogdon to Miles Turner, and they're going to hit the reset button in a major way. That's going to result in Halliburton, Hield, and Benedict Mathurin, I think, as the 1, 2, 3, unless I'm missing somebody. Maybe somebody comment below if I'm missing somebody. Indiana's in terrible turmoil. Just like Sacramento, not a free agent destination. They're never going to get anybody there. The people there definitely love their basketball.
I don't know who their coach is. Who's their coach?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's player coach. I think it's Buddy Hield. I think player coach. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was George McGinnis or if it was Buddy Hield. Yeah.
No, it's not Rick Carlisle anymore. It's not Bird. That was the 90s I'm thinking of.
Is it Detlef Schrempf? Did he come back? No.
I don't think it is. I think the Dutchman's coming back to coach. Right. So I say Indiana's in complete turmoil, and here's why. And you've heard this before, and I'm sure you agree with me. Good in the NBA is worse than terrible. Like if you're terrible, you're getting these bites at the apple, right? You're getting these chances to just like flip your franchise and pick up the next franchise cornerstone. Indiana just keeps being not quite good enough, right? And so they're never getting that dude. They're just never finding that guy. And the only way you're going to build something in Indiana is a trade, or drafting the guy. And so when you're good, not great, and you're good, not bad, you're just kind of stuck in limbo in the NBA. And I think that's something they've tried to address by reducing the advantage that the worst team has in the lottery to get the first pick. So they've kind of like changed the ping pong balls around.
Yeah.
But again, if they keep finishing, 19th in the league, I mean, this is kind of what you're going to get, So maybe they struck gold with him. What do you think about Benedict Mathurin?
I think he's got a chance to be a very good pro as a role player. That's the way I view him. I don't think he's going to be an all-star. I don't think, I know I'm comparing him to Jaylen Brown. I'm just saying from a standpoint of, when I watch him move, kind of his style of play. But again, look, you nailed Jaylen Brown. Okay, I didn't necessarily think Jaylen Brown was ever going to be an all-star, and he is, the first or second best player, depending on night, on an NBA Finals team, right?
Yeah.
So I think that I don't think this kid's going to be that, but I think he's going to be, because he's physical, man, and he's going to be a good defender, I think, in the league, multiple positions. So yeah, I see him as a good piece for a playoff team. Maybe he's a guy off the bench, but maybe he's the fourth best starter, whatever it is. But I think he can be a good role player.
I don't see how Jonathan. I mean, I'm a little higher on him than you. I don't see how he doesn't get the opportunity and push for first team all rookie team. I mean, doesn't he have to start? I mean, if they're clearly rebuilding, he's
on a playoff team.
No, and you're talking long term. I'm just saying, don't you think he's going to be able to push this year and get big time field goal attempts? I mean, Halliburton is not a shoot first guy. Hield is. Hield doesn't really create his own that much, but Halliburton's a super willing passer, kind of a DeJounte Murray light distributor kind of guy. And I don't know who else is going to score for them if they move Brogdon and Turner.
Yeah, he's going to have to start for sure. Again, though, I don't know how much have you watched him play? Did you watch him play a bunch?
A little.
Yeah, I saw.
I'm really making shit up here, dude. I'm kind of talking out of my butt. You know that.
I know, so am I. But to me, when I watched this kid, and I missed on Tatum, right, to a degree, because I thought Tatum was stiff coming out of college. And I still think he is a little bit stiff.
Yes.
Right? I still think there's some issues. And I don't think this kid is stiff. I just don't think he is like a super naturally gifted,
super polished offensive player. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. He doesn't slither through people, but I tell you what, he's bouncy and
no doubt.
He's put together.
Yep.
And he shoots a good percentage, and he's a good 3-point shooter. So, but again, there's 3 levels that you got to score the ball to be a big time scorer in the NBA. You can't just make threes and dunk the ball. You've got to have that mid-range game. So okay, that's Benedict Mathurin. No way Indiana becomes relevant anytime soon. Really, his ball handling. We want to see if he's got elite ball handling.
Right.
We don't know that yet.
Again, what's funny is 19 years old.
He is 19 years old. We keep bypassing that. That goes without saying. We're not saying, there's no chance. We're just simply saying based on what we've seen in the past and just taking a wild random guess. This video may not age well, right? We may have already passed 6 Hall of Famers. You never know. But what's funny is, and I made a note of this, is like, I just kept hearing everybody saying he's an incredible three-point shooter. He's an incredible three-point shooter. And he shot 37% from three.
College line.
What from the college line? What did you shoot in college? What did you shoot from three in college?
I was 42, 43 with guys hanging all over me.
Yeah, right. And not 6'6", 210 and able to create 9 feet of separation either, right? That's right. A little more contested. I mean, I was shooting 49, 50%. Now, I was all catch and shoot, and you were doing a little more off the dribble, and you took a lot more than me. Right. But I'm sorry, 37% ain't cutting it in my book from college three if you're the best player on the floor. That's just not good.
Well, look, here's what my freshman year, I think I shot 48 because I was open, right?
Yeah.
And then after I wasn't open anymore, then it dropped to 42, 43. But no, you're right. And it's like this guy, you're playing him to drive for sure. Okay. Yeah. And he's
better.
He's got to have some gap, right? So if he shoots 37, that means he's okay. He's okay, but not a great.
Not elite, right? That ain't elite in my book.
Just because it looks good coming out of your hand doesn't mean you're a great shooter. The ball has to freaking go in.
It's called the Ben McLemore rule, right? Yes. Just because it looks like you have the perfect shot, that doesn't mean you have a perfect shot, right? Mechanically, but you still have to use your eyeballs and make the ball go through the hoop. Yeah. Let's see. I got another one for you. So you missed the Ben Simmons one earlier. I'm really disappointed in that. So I've got another one. In the past 15 seasons of Division I basketball, 4 guys have had 80-plus threes in a season and 35 dunks. He's one of them. Okay. I forgot to write down the other 3, so it's not going to be a good trivia question. But Lonzo Ball was one of them. Lonzo Ball was another one. Yeah. Only 4 guys in 15 seasons, 83s and 35 dunks. Doesn't that seem – it seems like there'd be 100 guys that have done that. That doesn't seem that hard. It's a little over 2 threes a game and a little over 1 dunk a game. It just seems like there's a lot of I don't know.
Here's my question for you about that question is Lonzo Ball did it. Did he take 300 threes that year?
I don't know. I think he took 700 threes.
Okay. Because
I think he wanted to make sure he was on the list.
He's developed into a pretty good shooter, but it was so bad back then.
Gosh. Yeah. He has become better. And thank God I can watch him shoot it now. I couldn't even watch him shoot it when he was in college. That was awful. Yep. We don't know what the starting lineup is in Indiana, but they're definitely not trying to win now. So I think Benedict Mathurin's going to have a good chance. If you're a basketball card collector, he's a guy you probably want to look at because his name doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. He wasn't exactly super crazy hyped coming out of college, like Jabari or Chet or those guys. But, I think he's going to put up some really good numbers rookie year with a lot of opportunities. Next on the list is Sasquatch, none other than they keep saying was at Kentucky. And, yes, he was located on Kentucky's campus, but he didn't play basketball for the University of Kentucky. Shaydon Sharp, okay? He looks like Kobe White in this picture, but it's not Kobe White. He's a lot bigger and taller and stronger than Kobe White. So Shaydon Sharp is from the University of Kentucky, somewhat, sort of. He got drafted by Portland, which is my team that I like to watch on League Pass because of Anthony Simons. You know how I feel about him. 6'6", 200. Give me some comps for Shaydon Sharp. What you've seen of Shaydon? Has anybody seen Shaydon Sharp?
So if you watch him a little bit, and this guy's name is coming up way too often for my liking, but Jalen Green is not a bad comp for him. He is not as bouncy, but he's pretty bouncy. This will give you some context because he hadn't played basketball of any significance that we know of, but he did average 23 in the EYBL. Okay,
that's where I was going next.
So if he's doing that, I mean, we know for sure he's playing against the best players in America. And if he's doing that at 23, now I don't know what he shot. Did he shoot 37%? Did he shoot 47%?
Right.
But the highlights sure looked impressive. And he's I'm going to say, I'll call him typical 6'6", rangy wing who can create space, and he has a natural look to him when he moves and scores. So I think he's got a chance.
3 things. I made a list of 3 things that give me a little bit of confidence. Keep in mind, I've never seen the kid play. I've seen some highlights. I've read about him. I've seen some clips. Number one, you nailed number one. He led the EYBL in scoring. That matters. For those of you who don't know, that's the Nike League. It's, arguably the best grassroots circuit in the nation. Not arguably, it's the best grassroots circuit in the nation. Go down the list of guys that played there: Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum. We can go forever, right? Jaleel Okafor,
Grayson Allen. Yeah.
Grayson Allen. Anyway, big time players play in the EYBL. It's about the best circuit you can get. So he led that league in scoring. Number one. He scored 23 points in 28 minutes in the EYBL, which is 33 points per 40 minutes.
Right.
That's a big clip in the EYBL. I've been there and seen that, and that is not normal. Number two, Coach Cal wanted him at UK, even if only for half a season.
Yep.
That means something. That means Coach K thought, I could bring this kid in, and it might be the difference between a national title and not, right?
Right.
And number three, he was the consensus number one player in high school before all the chaos, and he stopped playing high school and all that stuff. So those three things give me some hope that a lot of people have put eyes on this kid. From what I've heard, some of the NBA scouts, when they came to watch Kentucky practices, he basically stole the show. Like, he was clearly the best player in Kentucky practices. And while Kentucky right now is not what Kentucky was a few years back, they're still putting out pros. They probably still had 7 pros in that, probably 10 pros, probably 7 NBA pros in that Kentucky practice. And everybody who saw him said he stood out head and shoulders, and people's jaws were on the ground just because of what he can do. So he's kind of, I call him the Sasquatch. He's lurking in the shadows. Nobody knows anything about him. He's a perfect type of candidate if his cards come out at a reasonable price point for card investors to look at, the upside for Shaydon Sharp. Because everybody says high risk, high reward. Now, the question is, I think, Jonathan, from what I've read, his motor, his consistency, his work ethic, can he even play in a team setting? He's never really played in a truly, the EYBL, let's be real, is get out of my way, watch me get it. It's not college basketball. It's certainly not structured NBA basketball with rules and, spacing and certain, pilot practice, practical considerations and stuff like that. So I don't know if he can process all that stuff. But my comp for him, he reminds me of Tyreke Evans. Big, strong, physical, super silky ball handler, great build. He's probably even bouncier than Tyreke Evans from what I've seen. But Tyreke Evans is rookie of the year, man. Tyreke Evans averaged 20 points a game as a rookie in our favorite city, Sacramento. So he's kind of one comp. Another comp is Cam Reddish, but he's a little bit smaller than Cam Reddish. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to really compare anybody to Cam Reddish because he hasn't done anything. And then who else do we have on here? And then, I have on here he's maybe a little bit thicker Jalen Green. That's what I have, a little thicker Jalen Green.
Tyreke Evans, I have as a comp for a later guy in our draft.
Okay.
So I'll save that.
Okay.
I think there's a couple interesting things about this kid, in my opinion, not knowing much about him. First of all, the Blazers have history, right? They have had a successful history. Typically they're not in this position in the draft. And so when you have a veteran-laden organization like they typically do, right, you're going to take a chance at the 7 spot on a kid who didn't play a year of college basketball, who's not 7'2" or not 6'11" and rangy, right? He must be able to play.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can look at it. This is not a franchise drafting that is a disaster in the draft year after year. This is a team that knows what you need to do to win, maybe not titles, but be consistently good. So there must be something to it. That's the way I look at it. There's got to be something to it.
I can't. I'm with you. I can't sit here and speak from a position of confidence of saying what he is. I keep reading what he could be, and I've read it in so many places. Where there's smoke, there's fire. The kid must have tremendous upside for the Blazers to have done this. And the Blazers are in a very confusing situation anyway. Yeah. Why would you move Covington? Who else did they move? They moved another 3-and-D guy, Norman Powell, McCollum. But keep Lillard, whose window is, I got to believe it's closing relatively soon.
Yeah.
Why not just move it all, right? I know Lillard's being loyal to you, but it seems like they should get down, sit at the table, and say, Shaydon Sharp, Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, let's just blow the whole thing up because they're going to end up in that Indiana good but not great situation.
and
like
they've
they are
lived
right
there
now.
for so long. They've lived there for so long. That's the problem.
Forever.
You know,
Even with LaMarcus Aldridge, they were there back when LaMarcus Aldridge was playing.
yeah,
You know,
just never could put that second or third guy with their main guy, or their main guy wasn't good enough, or
right?
whatever, you know. So
Yeah. You're right. McCollum is a great player. McCollum can't be the beta on a championship team.
no.
Period. You know. And the good news is for the Pelicans. Yeah, the good news is for the Pelicans, he's 3A or 3B, depending on how you look at it, right? You got Zion, you got Ingram, and then you got JV and McCollum. You know, those are kind of 3A, 3B.
They got to trade Zion. That's a different vibe.
Dude, they're not trading Zion. We could do a whole separate video on that.
Yeah, they're not going to, but they need to. But
yeah, well,
anyhow,
it just depends on what they get back. But yeah, you're right. Anyway, is he a franchise player? Who the hell knows? I don't know. You don't know. We're not going to guess. But I mean, a lot of people like him. Yeah. Next is a guy that we hopefully will get to see if we can make a little trip 50 miles down the road to New Orleans. Dyson Daniels played at G League Ignite. Let me pull Dyson up here on our screen. I'm not very good at using these screens. We got Dyson pulled up right there. Got Dyson Daniels from the G League Ignite, right? That's the team where they put together the super kids, and then they play against the other G League guys that are chasing contracts. He's got signed by he got drafted by New Orleans, the Pelicans. 6'6", 185. Apparently, he's 6'8" in shoes, though, which I thought was odd, right? Is he wearing Skechers when he gets measured? I'm not sure New Balance, what he's doing, but he was 6'6" barefoot, but 6'8" in shoes. So it's some hellacious shoes. Yeah. Comparisons. Have you gotten to see this guy a lot? Who do you see when you see him?
Because I haven't watched G League Ignite, so I basically did just some research. I did see clips. So in the clips, it looked like a little Tyrese Halliburton, but it was that's really the only comp I have as of right now. I'll be completely transparent. I don't know a lot about anybody in the G League Ignite.
I don't either. And that's the downside of the G League Ignite. The NBA scouts get to see these guys more than college, but the fans and just people who love the NBA really rarely get to see them. I guess I could if I really wanted to watch online and I cared enough, but I don't. First G League got drafted in this draft, right? He went right here, number 8 to the Pelicans. Yep. He went NBA Global. He played in the NBA Global Academy, and then straight from the NBA Global Academy to the 1 year with the G League Ignite and the G League. So there's not a huge amount of public fanfare out there. The bad news is he's a guard, and he shot 26% from 3 and 59% on free throws. That is very worrisome for a 6'6" player. Am I wrong? Am I missing something there?
Did he shoot 59 or did the next guy shoot 59? I had this kid at 74.
The next guy, Jeremy, also shot 59, but he was 59. I think it was maybe 2/3 of the way through the season, and he may have picked it up. Those were his numbers. Yeah, that's right. You're right. And then he shot 42% from 3 over the last 2 months of the G League season, which, as we know, 42% is incredibly elite now, right?
But dude, if he shot 26 overall, what did he shoot before that?
Yeah, I know. That's what I want to know. We did. Well, you talk. I'll pull up G League stats. Let's see if I can find G League Ignite stats.
I mean, if you really want to do that, I will say this: David Griffin, I think, is his track record is proven, right, with personnel understanding and decisions. So, if he felt like this dude was better than a handful of other guys who, because the Pelicans are in a position, in my opinion, where they could have gone a lot of different directions, right? Where does this guy fit in a lineup of, if Lonzo's healthy, and you've got McCollum, and you've got Herb Jones, and you've got, there's a number of guys. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna trust.
I need to stop you,
David Griffin, on this one.
I need to stop you because maybe I am looking at something wrong.
Okay.
I've got on here that he averaged 15 games.
Yep.
11.9 points per game.
Yep.
46% field goals. Okay, not bad for a perimeter guy.
Yep.
34.7% from 3, so he did pull it up towards the end of the season. This says he shot 38.5% from the free throw line.
That is
I pray that's an error. I pray it's an error. That can't, surely that's not possible.
I had 45, 25.5, and 73.7. So
I've got 38.5. 0.7 made out of 1.7 attempts.
Wow.
I hope that's not correct. That's from the 21-22 NBA G League Ignite Tour per games, all games, advanced filters. He did pass the ball, and he had really good rebounding numbers for a guard. So 12 points, 5.7 boards, 5.1 assists. Now, the deal with him is everybody talks about how he's just super handsy. Like he's in all the passing lanes. He's a pain in the ass on defense, disrupts other teams' offense. And that's pretty much clear. He averaged 0.7 blocks a game, which is a pretty good number for a guard. It's not Dwayne Wade or Michael Jordan, but it's a pretty good number for a guard. And then 2.1 steals a game is big time, right? When you're only playing 32 minutes a game against grown men, The one thing I'll say about, G League players, he's the first G League guy drafted, so that does mean something. But in this draft, but those are all grown men that are trying to earn contracts to feed kids and wives and families. And so that is different than, a kid that we're going to see that played for, Santa Clara, that playing in a mid-major conference. It's just different, man. It's even different than Division I college basketball. The talent level, I don't think there's a crazy disparity, but the how developed the opponents are physically, certainly I think there is. What do you think about that? How would you compare G League with Division I high major college basketball now?
I don't think it's a lot different, and in fact, I probably here's the one benefit to it, in my opinion. I think that you're getting exposed to the NBA style earlier,
sure.
Right? So I think that matters. From a talent standpoint, a competitive standpoint, you're certainly not going to get to play in the arenas that are packed out and all the crazy environments and things like that you would have to navigate through if you played, Power 5 basketball. But you do get exposed to the NBA game, which is a lot of the reason why guys are drafted on ceiling and then they come out and these teams take them because they're like, okay, look, we're going to stash you away for 2 years, 3 years before you ever play the game, but you're going to learn only how to play the NBA game, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to have to retrain you. So from in that aspect, yes, it's better. From a competitive standpoint, I just can't see it being better than Kansas playing North Carolina, or Duke playing Arizona.
But Jonathan, Kansas doesn't play North Carolina every game. They also play North Carolina A&T, and they also play athletes in action half the time or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
True.
I don't think there's any nights off because every night you're playing a dude in his 20s who is trying to live and pay bills and wants that contract. You're playing hungrier grown men.
Yeah. I guess I'll look at it and go, what are the percentages of the guys that make it from the G League versus the guys that make it from major college basketball, right? And I don't know the answer to that. So
yeah,
I guess unless you're able to figure that out.
That's a fair point. But you could also say the same about, FIBA. You could also say the same about, the Spanish Division I league. Is that better than college basketball? I don't know.
Right.
But it's different because the age is different, right? The professionalism is different. The coaching is different. The chemistry is different, right? That's for sure. The chemistry will be much different over there than these colleges where players are constantly going in and out. Right. Whereas over there, you got pro franchises. So I guess there's a give and take. Certainly, I would agree with you that as far as potential goes, I would suspect there is significantly more potential in Division I college basketball, as evidenced by 27 out of the 30 picks, being Division I college players or overseas. So it's interesting. And I guess time will tell, this G League thing where people can skip high school and go play 1 year in the G League hasn't been around very long. So we'll see how some of these guys do. It's going to take a few years to get a nice sample size so we can get some good measures on it. From what I saw, his mechanics were better than his percentages. Just looking at the video, I like this. I like the foundation on his shot. His stroke looked pretty good with room to grow. I know he's a very versatile defender. Everything I read, just they could not stop talking about how special he was on the defensive end. And so you're talking about going to a team with some pretty special dudes on the defensive end as well. Like Herb Jones is, borderline NBA all. Did he make? He might have made all defense team, one team or another. Second team. Okay. Yeah. As a rookie, so I think they see a little bit of Herb Jones and Dyson Daniels. I think he was thrust into playing the point guard position a little bit on this G League Ignite team when that's probably not his primary position. And certainly he won't be called on to do any of that for the Pelicans because they have 3.5 point guards, depending on what you call McCollum. He's playing point, but Devontae Graham, who am I forgetting? Devontae Graham, Alvarado, Kira Lewis, so they've got a glut of point guards. So I know they didn't bring him in for that. I think they brought him in for another wing next to Herb Jones that can guard both ends, guard and play on both ends. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't think he gets in the you think he even gets in the rotation this year with the Pelicans?
No way.
No way. No. If he does, he's either a hell of a lot better than we thought he was, or something went really wrong again with the Pelicans, and Herb Jones got hurt, Trey Murphy got hurt, Ingram gets hurt, something like that. I agree. Yeah, I'm with you. What do you think, generally speaking, about the Pelicans? What's their ceiling and what's a reasonable expectation? The Pelicans are a top 8 team in the West if healthy. Yes?
100%. Yeah. And if it all hinges on Zion, right? I mean, it does. And so when I said earlier they need to trade Zion, okay, in an ideal world, if Zion is completely healthy and bought into actually caring about things other than just scoring, okay, if he's a 10, 11 rebound a game guy like he should be, if he cares at all on defense other than blocking shots, then, dude, they're probably a top 5, right?
I'm with you. They were 8 last year. I've got it pulled up. They were 8 last year with absolute chaos.
Yeah, I think they're better because Ingram is the real deal, and McCollum obviously is a great fit. Lonzo being out mattered more than people realized. It really mattered.
For sure.
Did. Okay, so you take those dudes, now you've got a really good team. Like, everybody wanted to make the Bulls out to be something that they weren't, right? You had a bunch of dudes who, they put up empty numbers everywhere they've ever been, and none of them guarded anybody. These guys, they outside of Zion, they care about the right stuff. So I think they got a chance, man. They really do. Now, when I said they needed to trade Zion, I was alluding simply to the fact that I just don't trust the dude ever being healthy. I just don't. His frame is bad, but he is without question. Because I don't want to leave the deal and people are going, this guy knows nothing about it. He doesn't think Zion can play. No, I think he's a transcendent talent.
Yeah. You don't wish ill will upon him, but that's a unusual frame. You're asking a lot, and gravity's not changing anytime soon, and his weight doesn't seem to be changing.
I got some intel too, from a couple different sources that during all of this time, when they would have team meals and things like that, basically his entourage would bring in canes, and he would have a couple caniacs, and so he's certainly not the most disciplined dude ever, which I know is not surprising because you've seen pictures of him. But I mean, he's going to have to surround himself with a different crew.
He came in as a happy-go-lucky, yes sir, no sir, polite kid with a great smile, super marketable, and sadly, I think the script has been flipped, and now it's like spoiled prima donna, not willing to make sacrifices, not a team player, doesn't hang out with the team, too many people around him telling him the wrong things. Those are things you hate to hear with somebody as talented as him. So I certainly wish nothing but the best, because I would much rather go down and watch a Pelicans game if he was playing than not playing like the entire season last year. And he means so much to the Pelicans just keeping the franchise. It really does mean a lot. So if they're going to move him, they got to get just a massive haul. And hopefully, I think they probably would if they really tried to move him.
If they did it now, right? That's my thing, is they need to do it sooner than later, because if he gets hurt again, then it's going to be an issue.
Right.
And again, look, we've talked about injuries, we talked about lack of discipline, whatever. The most important thing that we haven't even hit on, I don't think the dude wants to be there.
I know. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the AD Chris Paul thing has already happened. All that stuff. I don't think he wants to be there.
It's happening again. The same thing that happened with AD is happening with him, and he's put in a lot less, man hours than AD even put in. So, so the Pelicans finished 8th last year. You got to believe if they add a healthy, let's say 60 game Zion, 24-9 is fair for his numbers.
Easy.
My God, you got to believe that certainly pushes them into the top 5 or 6. You would think. Sure. I mean, obviously the Nuggets are going to improve drastically when you add Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. That's my team in the West that's going to be a problem. I think that the Nuggets are going to be a problem, and I think the Warriors are going to be off to the races next year, because I think a more developed, more experienced Jordan Poole, Kuminga, and if they get Wiseman back, that is now the best rotation in the NBA, in my opinion, all things considered. Like top 8.
Sure.
Top 8, that's ridiculous, because they're already number 3, but that's with no Wiseman and a little tiny bit of Kuminga and then a baby Poole. And Poole's
and Clay's going to be better.
Clay should be better. That's right. That's right. Even
He
though
was
he's
back
coming
then.
off, right? Yeah, I agree with you, man. Just what he did. Yeah, people forget what that guy went through. Not many people have gone through those two injuries back to back on the same leg. That's not normal. All right, I lost track here. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Dyson Daniels. Okay, so we both agree we don't know anything about Dyson Daniels, right? Okay, let's just move on then. We do agree that he's probably not going to be in the rotation, so I don't look for too much out of him in the first year. And I would be pleasantly surprised if we did get to see him play pretty steady minutes in New Orleans. I just don't see it happening.
Yep.
The next guy, Jeremy Sohan. I think it's a silent C. People are going to make fun of me in the comments, I think, for this one. What do you think it is? Sohan?
Honestly, I don't care.
Do we care about Jeremy? You know what? Here's the thing. I want to blast this pick as the worst pick in the lottery.
Yeah.
I kind of watched enough of his clips. He's out of Baylor, winning program, obviously. 6'10", 230 pounds. I think that the Spurs are hoping he's a Kyle Kuzma type, but I didn't see anything like that. I saw Precious Achua, Amari Spellman, DJ Wilson type flop potential. I just didn't see any of these things. What I saw when I watched him play was he looks like he's just a banger.
Yeah.
He does play hard on defense. He's an intense player. He looks like a ball mover, kind of Draymond ball mover guy, right? Just move it to the next guy and let him score.
Yeah.
I think they put in his highlights every three he's ever made in his career, which is a terrible percentage. He shot under 30%. I just see an energy guy, a glue guy, and by all accounts, it sounds like he's a really good locker room guy. But I didn't see anything that would lead me to believe that San Antonio got it right once again. And they are very good. They have a very good track record of, people saying, who the hell did you just pick? And then they end up being right and looking like geniuses.
Yeah.
Maybe I am going to look stupid and they're going to look intelligent again, but I did not see it from this guy. Did you see anything?
It's the only confidence I have is that San Antonio took him. That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's the only hesitation I have from saying next.
He didn't start at Baylor, who was talented for sure. And look, Patrick Williams didn't start in college, so that doesn't necessarily mean everything.
Yep.
But he averaged 9 points and 6 rebounds a game.
Good.
And I know he's a freshman. I know they want to make him out to be OG Anunoby. He is not. I don't see it, man. He shot 59% from the free throw line. To me, if you have the potential to be a great shooter, maybe you have a year in college where you shoot 77% from the free throw line. You never shoot 59% from the free throw line.
Let me tell you something right now, and I'm not going out on a limb here. And, obviously, this is two elite shooters talking right here, right? Yes. The world doesn't know who they're talking to right here. The one thing we do actually know about is shooting. We may not know about Jeremy Sohan, but we know about shooting. Yeah. I didn't shoot 59% in 7th grade.
No.
No way.
No.
There's no way. I'm going to go back and find my middle school stats. There's no way. I've never shot 59% in a season ever. I shoot 59% right now left-handed.
And there's a chance you took more shots than anybody in the history of middle school basketball. But
it's not a chance, my friend. It was a goal, and I achieved it.
I think it was a record. But nonetheless, you never shot 59%. Ever.
No, never. Of course not. Of course. I also didn't like contact, so I may not have taken a free throw. But I just shot it before anybody got near me. You know that.
That's a good point.
Yep. He had this Jeremy Sohan cat who's got funny looking hair. He changed his hair color. He had the lowest points per 40 minutes of any player in the ESPN Top 100 draft list. So not only did he, what did you say, 12 a game or something like that? 9 a game. Okay, fair enough.
Here's what we do with him. Okay. Let's talk about Johnny Davis, number 10 pick, by the way.
Okay, here we go. Johnny Davis, number 10. From Wisconsin, got drafted by Washington. Washington is my number 1 team that I want to watch play basketball the least of any of the 30 NBA teams.
That's a good.
What do you think? I find them to be the most boring team in the entire NBA. The only redeemable player on that entire roster that I would enjoy watching play basketball is Bradley Beal, and I don't know how much longer he's going to be there.
That's a good point.
Think about how little you would like to watch Washington play. I mean, if you can think of a team, I'd rather watch Orlando. Sure. Just because they have a bunch of prospect guys that are kind of exciting and you might see somebody dunk a ball or something.
Yeah.
There's no team that I would rather watch less.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. And that's a tough statement too, man, because I really don't like watching Houston play.
Come on. Come on. You can see Jalen Green could do something you've never seen before. Nobody on Washington's doing anything good that you've never seen before.
No basketball purist can stand to watch Houston. You know that.
Yeah. Indiana's up there. Indiana's up there is unwatchable.
Yes, they are. I don't want to watch Washington, though. You're right. They're in that mix for sure.
They're right there, and they both finished right there. Well, yeah, they're right by each other in the Eastern Conference standings. And then guess what? They're going to be right there again because they are not any good. So we've got they picked up Johnny Davis, probably the most common name I've ever heard in my life. I don't even know if it's his real name. My comps for Johnny Davis, just by watching some YouTube video of him and reading a little bit about him, is George Hill and Jordan Clarkson. What do you think? That's what I see.
No, I see George Hill to a degree. I see Josh Hart.
Really?
Yeah, I see Josh Hart because he can't shoot. So I think, but I think he's he's an athlete. But he averaged 8 rebounds a game.
That's pretty good for a 6'4", 6'5" guy. Yeah.
So I see Josh Hart, and I see, he shoots 31 from the 3. I don't think he's probably never going to be a great shooter, but I see him as potentially a wing defender that becomes like, I don't know, probably 75% of guys drafted in the 10 spot in the draft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and your percentages of hitting home runs goes down pretty measurably as we work our way through the lottery, right?
Yeah.
So here's some.
Go ahead.
Here's a couple tidbits on Johnny Davis. He won a gold medal with Team USA. Okay, so he's a winner, and when he played for Wisconsin, he was clear-cut, unequivocally the man. And what's really weird about that, Jonathan, is his freshman year he averaged 7 points a game.
Yeah.
So a guy that averaged 7 points a game as a freshman, 15 months later, is a lottery pick in the NBA. That's not normal. That would scare me, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, it is what it is. What happened with Johnny Davis is, and I may have my stats wrong here, but I think he scored 37 and 14 in a road win at North Carolina, and then all hell broke loose on him.
Yeah.
And he got tons and tons of attention because he did that to a really, really good Carolina team on the road. 37-14 is no joke for a 6'5" guy. So one thing we know about Wisconsin is I'm sorry. If we weren't on video, it would be a totally different comment. But they're very well coached, right? They're going to be great locker room guys. They produce them year after year. Wisconsin produces professional type players who are intelligent, high basketball IQ, well coached, play both ends of the floor. So we know we're going to get that from him, especially if he's the best player on a pretty good Wisconsin team. What I got from him, you're right. He shot 31% from 3. That worries me when you're 6'5". But again, shooting gets better. He's good at many things, but he's great at nothing. That's what I see when I see him. And that's George Hill, man. That's why I see George Hill. I think same size, same shape.
George Hill has been in the league for 30 years. So
I know that. But if I said, hey, I'm going to give you George Hill as the number 10 pick, would you want George Hill or would you want to take another crack at it?
Yeah, you're right. 100%. Yeah,
I take another crack at it, right? Yeah. Again, if Washington's picking this dude to take Bradley Beal's place, ain't happening. It's just not. Yeah. This is not Bradley Beal 2.0. The Wizards have no point guard at all. They have Ish Smith, Raul Neto, Cassius Winston, and Tomas Satoransky, who
their situation makes no sense whatsoever. Like you're not trying to win, obviously, but you're keeping Bradley Beal. Like, how can you? I know they've tried to move him, but I don't feel like they've been super aggressive about it.
How big do they think his window is? How old is Bradley Beal?
He's got to be 20.
I mean, if they're trying to, oh my gosh,
it just doesn't make any sense. And on a championship team, at best, he's a second guy, maybe a second guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'll tell you what. I heard this talked about the other day. This is neither here nor there. Bradley Beal is 28. He turns 29 in 4 days. So Bradley Beal's got 4 years left in his prime. I don't think the Wizards are going to win a title in 4 years. But I heard this the other day. Some of the idiot talking heads on TV. Sorry, I guess we're one too. But we're talking about the Bucks. Would you rather have Bradley Beal or Middleton? And they thought that Bradley Beal would push them over the top more so than Middleton. I don't know. What do you think about that? Beal versus Middleton. You like Beal more?
I disagree too. I like Middleton a lot more. I like Middleton for numerous reasons. I think I do think he's a clutch guy who can close games. Beal's never – I'm not saying he can't do it, but he's never been in a situation to do it. Middleton is a super underrated defender. Super underrated. Okay.
He's 25 and 5.
Yeah. And he actually has become a good facilitator. Like, he can make plays for other people. I don't think Bradley Beal does that. And I know he's playing on a terrible team, but you asked me who I want to win a game with, I'm taking Chris Middleton, 100%.
And you're also leaving out one really big thing in the playoffs, right? The way that the playoffs have been officiated lately, the one thing that Middleton can do that Bradley Beal cannot do is turn his big ass around, go get in the post, and destroy a smaller wing. Middleton's 6'7", 225, man, or 222, whatever. That's big. Did you know that another one of his nicknames is WD-40?
I did not, but now I do.
Cash Money and WD-40. Never heard WD-40. Huh.
Yeah, these are – they don't matter either. That's the best part. Okay.
So Johnny Davis, we're done with Johnny Davis, right? The Wizards suck. Yeah. Johnny Davis probably not going to put him over the top. Let's keep it moving.
Okay, before you start,
Jang, no relation to Gorgie Jang that I know of.
Yeah, before you say anything else, okay?
Okay.
I just want gut reaction. All right. Do we need to discuss this guy?
I don't know, but I feel like we should say something because, like, in 2 years, if somebody pulls this video up, they could, like, clip it, and then you'll never live it down if he's, like, by that time he's already two-time All-NBA.
Okay.
You don't think Ousmane Dieng from the New Zealand Breakers is going to come into the Oklahoma City Thunder and be the focal point of their offense?
So he was drafted by the Knicks. That's one strike. He plays for the New Zealand Breakers, played for the New Zealand Breakers. That's strike 2.
Yeah.
He is 6'9", 185. That is strike 3.
That's strike 4, 5, and 6.
Okay. He apparently has a high ceiling, and the comp is Brandon Ingram. If he is that, then I don't know. Tell me what I have to do 2 years from now when he's become All-NBA. I don't know. Whatever it is. Okay?
You'll take that bet?
All
right. Let me just tell you what my notes say. Not NBA ready in any way, shape, or form. Soft, not real athletic. He's a finesse, pick and pop type guy. He reminds me of Chandler Hutchinson, if that helps you. I'm sure they're hoping he can transition to a supersized wing, but I just do not see it. He's got shooting mechanics issues. He shot 24% in the New Zealand League from 3, and he shot 64% from the free throw line. The absolute best case scenario for him is that he one day becomes Nicholas Batum. The more likely scenario for him is that he one day is Kyle Anderson. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yet he was taken 4 spots ahead of a kid from Kansas who is ready to play in the NBA today.
Was a first-team All-American Conference Player of the Year. He was also taken in front of a 7-foot, 260-pound center with a 5% body fat that probably could have helped Chet Holmgren eat some more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You know, this pick went from New York to OKC, right? This is an OKC pick. Okay. Yeah. That would have been nice. If you put Mark Williams and Chet Holmgren together in that front court with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Giddey, that's filthy now. Now you're talking.
And real quick, because I know we're probably running out of time, but let's touch on Mark Williams, 9'9", standing reach. 9 feet 9 inches.
9 feet 9. He's not 9'9", shaped like Chet Holmgren or Bol. Right. This dude's an animal. This guy's gonna be in the top 10 in the NBA in dunks if he gets minutes on the floor. I mean,
I would think so. Yeah.
Well, and he went to Charlotte. Could it be a better? I mean, he's got to step right in and just say, block everything, rebound everything, dunk everything. We'll teach you basketball on the side. Just go do that. Yep. He's an animal, man. Yeah, we're going to talk about him even though he's out of lottery. Next, we're done with Ousmane Dieng. Now, I'll say this. Let's talk about this kid from Santa Clara because you're familiar with the Santa Clara program, obviously. For those of you watching, Jonathan just recently, coached a kid that played there he had 3 years of eligibility. So he played for Dunham for 3 years, right? Yeah. 3 years for Jonathan's high school program named Carlos Stewart. Great player here in Louisiana. One of the few perimeter players that wears goggles that was actually really, really effective and would dunk on your face. So Carlos Stewart went out, committed to Santa Clara, correct? And so the next player on our list is Jalen Williams, who is from Santa Clara. He also is going to OKC and is significantly better than the pick before that went to OKC, who we not even going to talk about Ousmane Dieng's name anymore. Jalen Williams, 6'6", Jonathan, 209. Who do you see when you look at Jalen Williams? I've got some comps down here. Josh Primo is a good comp, I think. Halliburton, sort of from a size standpoint. I saw Jalen Williams in the clips I saw. He looked extremely comfortable in the mid-range with the ball, creating out of the mid-range, creating space, tricky, kind of old man, tricky shots. He was pretty bouncy because I saw him do some things in clips here and there, but it looked like he had the ability to score at all three levels, which, like, for instance, Ousmane Dieng, every single basket I saw him make on his highlight tape and all the pre-draft stuff was a three or a dunk. That's all I ever saw. This guy lived and breathed around 12 to 18 feet from the basket. It was pretty impressive. I liked him.
I think this was my Tyreek Evans comp. Better shooter.
Yeah.
But really easy, plays his pace. Can't get him to rush anything. A little bit bigger. He's going to put on some more mass too, right? He's more of a physical guy. And I know, Carlos played with him this year, and he was really one of the main reasons Carlos's minutes were kind of up and down, because this kid had the ball in his hands the whole time, and you're going to let him do his thing because he can really make easy plays. Now, granted, he wasn't playing. Now, the league he played in was really good. It wasn't ACC, whatnot, but
one of the best of the mid majors, right? For sure,
it probably is the best of the mid majors, right? When you talk about Gonzaga and St. Mary's and the other programs, but I think he's got a chance to be a sneaky good pro. Very efficient, 51, 40, and 81. And then, average 18, 4.5, and 4. So, kind of a stat stuffer to a degree. And Santa Clara didn't play very fast this year. So, that's the thing about them. So his numbers will be a little bit, could be more inflated depending on the situation. And again, I think he's going to a good spot because he should be able to get minutes, I would think, early on. I know they're guard heavy, but I like his game. It's interesting. Kind of old school, a little bit old school.
Yeah. He has a +6 wingspan. So 7'2" wingspan for a 6'6" guy. That's exceptional. That's fantastic. 7'2" wingspan is no joke right there. The only issue, and I say the only issue, this used to be a good thing because it meant you had experience, but he's a junior. He is over 21 years old.
Right.
So, while some of these guys coming out were like, oh, he's only 185 pounds. Well, this guy's 209, but a lot of these 18-year-olds are going to put on 35 pounds in the next 3 years, just like we did when we were coming out and playing in college, So, that's something to keep in mind. But, there's pros and cons, and it just depends on your perspective. It may mean he's a little bit more ready, right? He's had the ball in his hand. He's been the puppet master for the Santa Clara team, and he's got a little bit of experience, and he's been the alpha. So, and the same thing we're going to talk about with Ochai Agbaji next, who I also really like him as well. I like both these guys. We got Jalen Duran before that, but I like Agbaji as well. So total control of the game. He loves to operate in the mid-range. He's a mid-major monster. I like him for OKC. My notes say I like him better than the pick before, Ousmane Dieng, and it's not even close. So I just don't know how he gets on the floor with such good guards, but maybe he can sneak his way in the rotation. I mean, they got some good prospect guards, I should say. So SGA and Giddey are entrenched. Trey Mann's a good player, dude. Lugan Dort is going to be on the floor just because he's kind of like their Marcus Smart, Draymond kind of guy, and every team needs that. So he can sneak his way in the rotation. He's got I don't think he has any chance to be a starter anytime soon. But it's just kind of a log jam of prospects everywhere in OKC. I mean, is there anybody on that team that's not a prospect?
No, they all are except for SGA.
I mean, Dort.
Yeah, and Dort. But, you talk. It's funny to real quick rewind, but talk about this kid at 21 like he's ancient, and it is the thing now. It's like, but what does that really mean? It means that what is his window now 12 or 13 years as opposed to 15, 16 years,
it ain't like he's going to be on the Thunder anyway. Why the hell do you care, Oklahoma City? You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't going to re-sign him. Even if he turns out to be his superstar, he ain't staying in Oklahoma City. Yeah, you're right. You're going to get his prime years, so just relax. You're right. That's a great point. And something that's often overlooked, and I don't know why GMs are, they harp on it so much. It's like you're not going to get those peak years usually, and you're certainly not going to get the post peak years anyway. So what do you care if they're 19 or 21? What does it matter? I guess from their perspective.
Here's my question. Okay, I wonder how many GMs, and look, I'm certainly not going to claim to know more than a general manager, but I wonder how many of them, their first question that they want answered is, can he play basketball? Right.
Or
can he help us win? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, as opposed to length and.
Or what has he done? How about what has he done? Yeah. Like, what have you done? Not what is your wingspan, not how high on the ticker can you touch, or how fast you can run a shuttle run when you don't have to think about changing directions. You know which direction you're going. How about just what have you done? What would this kid do if you dropped him in Rucker Park against a bunch of grown men who are ready to tear your throat out? How would he perform in that scenario?
Exactly.
I'll tell you who would not perform well, Ousmane Dieng.
I would agree. 100%.
You know who would perform well? I'm going to show you.
Bo Cruz would.
No, you know who's going to perform well. Our friend down here at pick number 23, David Roddy. That's who would perform well in Rucker Park.
And you know why? Because
you know why.
Number one, he doesn't need a foul call. Number two, if you try to call a foul on him, he wouldn't allow it. He'd take the ball down to the other end, and you're not going to fight him.
Think twice about it. There'd be one less player at Rucker Park if you try to call a foul on David Roddy. That's for sure. We're going to talk a little bit more about David Roddy going forward. He's like a Jamal Murray, kind of with a little bit bloated face, with a little bit of a Charles Barkley body, maybe some Prince Fielder. Who did you say? Sinbad and who else? Barkley?
Jay Black.
Jack Black. Jack Black, Sinbad. Yeah, I don't know. We can work with that. Let's talk about the last guy in the lottery, Ochai Agbaji. Tough name to remember.
Duran, real quick.
Oh my God, I skipped Duran again. Why do I keep skipping this guy? Maybe it's because he can't play offense. Go ahead.
Let's run through these last two guys because I think Ochai is what he is, but I think he's got a chance to be good. Let's talk about Duran real quick though.
Tell me what you think about Duran.
I think upside. The comp that they gave him was Dwight Howard. Okay. That I've seen across the board. He is not that.
No,
he is not that.
No.
Remember, Dwight Howard was the number one pick out of high school. Okay.
Right.
So this kid is not that. I think he is not even a poor man's Dwight Howard. I do believe, however, he has a chance to be a good rim roll dunk guy, off the bench rebound guy 3, 4, 5 years from now. Maybe a poor man's DeAndre Jordan kind of deal, potentially.
Exactly. DeAndre Jordan is a great comp. DeAndre Jordan a little bit taller, but great comp. Great comp. What do you think about I've got Wendell Carter on here from a physical standpoint. Wendell actually proved he could step out and shoot the three ball a little bit this year. I don't see Jalen Duran ever doing that.
Well, he didn't take one. He didn't take one in college. So.
Yeah, I don't see Jalen Duran doing that. I see an energy guy. I see a rim runner. I see a rebounder. I don't know if he's a great shot blocker. I haven't seen him, blocking shots in college when you're 40 pounds heavier and 8 inches taller is different than in the NBA when you're playing against opponents that are smarter and, more skilled. So I don't know if he'll ever be a great shot blocker. One thing I do know, he's built to rebound the basketball, and he seems to play with a lot of energy, and he dunks everything he possibly can.
Yes.
So I think, with that pick, and it got traded to Detroit, I think they know what they're getting, and I think they've seen it before, and his name was Andre Drummond.
Yes.
So I think they're kind of reaching and hoping, hey, maybe this is another Andre Drummond. Now, Andre Drummond was about 280, I think. I don't know. I mean, I think he was about 6'11", 270, 280.
Yeah, he's a
huge
monster.
He is huge. He's one of the biggest players in the league for sure, along with Embiid and a couple others. But I don't think they're getting Drummond 2.0, but I think that's what they're hoping that they got. So I like him. I like an Isaiah Stewart that's already there, Beef Stew. I think he's kind of like an Isaiah Stewart, and a Precious Achua, like just one of those guys that just kind of just rebounds everything and tries to dunk it all back. I don't know what place he really has in the NBA. I guess if he can do it better than everybody else, he'll have a place.
Okay, I'm coming out with this before you start on the next guy. Okay. This is a reach, but Ivy is my guy. He's our guy. We think he's has the highest ceiling in the draft. Okay. Outside of the first three guys and Jaden Ivy, I think the next guy's going to be the best player in the draft.
Really? More than Keegan Murray?
Yes.
Because I'm with you on the first three, and then Jaden and Keegan. I like Benedict Mathurin more than this guy, and I think they're the same player.
I think they're very similar. I just loved this dude's composure in the big game situation, and I think the ball coming out of his hand is really nice. He's got a chance to be a really good shooter. I know the comp, people are saying DeAndre Hunter. I think he can be better than that, although DeAndre Hunter was a badass in college.
And he's not done. He's still a baby too.
He's not.
The question, people are like, DeAndre Hunter, is he going to turn into Kawhi Leonard, or is he going to stay OG Anunoby? Which is it?
Yeah. Well, to me, it's okay if he stays OG Anunoby. It's okay. He's pretty good. But I think at that point, I think DeAndre Hunter's better. That he's somewhere in the middle. But I think this dude's got a chance to be really freaking good, man. Really, really, really good. So I don't know. I just felt it. I watched him. His game is very complete already. He is. Again, he basically belongs in a nursing home. He's 21. So, I know it's going to be tough.
Get it in while you can. You're running out of time.
They'll be lucky to get 13 years out of him, But
he's over 22. He's over 22 years old.
I had him at 21.
I don't think so. I think he's over 22. Somebody watching can verify or deny. Let's see what he is. Where is he? There he is. 22.2, 22 years and 2 months old.
Well, then they made a mistake.
Then he's a flop.
He's too old.
He's a flop. He's on the downside of his career. No chance. I like him too, Jonathan. I don't want you to think I don't like him. He'd probably be next after Mathurin is my Mathurin would be, I guess, sixth. He would be my seventh out of this list that we've looked at in the lottery so far. 6'6", 215. For the comps, I put DeAndre Hunter. I put Isaac Okoro, but I think he's way better offensively, way better offensively. Ironically, I think he's going to Cleveland, and he's better than Isaac Okoro in every way and everything Isaac Okoro does. So I think he's going to take his position and leave him without a job, to be quite honest with you. But and then this comp you're really going to love. It's a blast from the past, Kalina Azubuike. So he kind of reminds me of Kalina Azubuike.
Yeah.
A little bit better handles, right? Kalina had a little bit better biceps
than everybody.
Right? And he's got a little bit better game probably. But Kalina had a nice little decent career.
How about this one? What about Corey Maggette?
That's not bad. I think he's more polished.
Probably so. You're probably right.
I think he's more polished. I think Maggette got by a lot more on just preposterous physical prowess. I think Agbaji is a little bit more polished. It's probably because he's so old. His 3-point percentage improved every year, Jonathan, which it should. At Kansas, he averaged 8 a game, 10 a game, 14 a game, and then finally 19 a game for a national champion. He had a 1.6 assist to 2.1 turnover ratio. So this is not a facilitator. This is not a guy that goes out and creates for others. He is looking to get it and put the ball in the basket. I've got on here. He's a get me a bucket type of wing player, which he can also defend, so he can do more than just score. He's the opposite of Shaydon Sharp, right? Shaydon Sharp, nobody's ever seen. We have no idea. Everybody's gotten to see like 130 games of this dude in college at a very high level. So there's no secrets, right? That's the other thing that you forget when these guys come out and they're 21 or 22. Guys like Jabari Smith haven't had a chance to get exposed. They haven't had a chance for teams to game plan against him and gang up on him. And how does he deal with double teams? Guys like this, they've been through that stuff, right? And so there's going to be a little bit more maturity there. He does have a 42-inch two-step vertical. That's an inch and a half, just an inch and a half below mine last year. Maybe. Last night. One of the best shooters in the draft, a great 3-and-D guy, but really his ceiling is going to be dictated by his ball handling and his ability to, become a full-blown playmaker on the offensive end. He can definitely shoot threes. He can definitely defend. He's definitely got maturity and leadership. The question is he going to be able to develop his offensive game where he can score at all three levels? I don't know.
I'm going to reach here because obviously we don't know, but the maturity of his game where it is right now, I can envision him as a vet, 5, 6 year, 7-year vet. Okay,
Elgin Baylor.
Being a starter on a championship level team, not the best player, not an all-star, not just a starter on a championship level team. I could see him doing that.
I have no problem with that. I'm with you, dude. He's got a lot of intangibles. I like him a lot. All right, that's the lottery. That was kind of our goal. Let's talk about, I know you've got some notes. Who else stands out? You know what's funny? The next 3 picks I'd really like to talk about. Let's just go through them real quick. I have no notes on any of these 3. We talked a little bit about Mark Williams. He's just a freaking monster. I think he's just Jalen Duran, only I would rather him, to be quite honest with you. 6'10", 242, so measurables are almost the same, except that he's got a 9'9" standing reach, which means he needs like a 7-inch vertical to dunk a basketball. I think I'm pretty good at math. I'm not good at basketball anymore, but I like Mark Williams. Everybody knows exactly what his role is, and he's in a perfect fit in Charlotte. I'm trying to think of who Charlotte's center is right now. I keep thinking Bismack Biyombo, but I know he was not on Charlotte anymore, but he seemed like he was there forever. Who is the starting center in Charlotte? Where am I? Let's go find it. Do you know who the starting center in Charlotte is?
It has to be which one is – it's the balding white twin or balding white
No, not still. Well, Montrezl Harrell's there, but he's short. He's 6'7". I say short.
No, dude, it's a white guy.
No, it's Plumlee.
Plumlee, yeah.
Mason Plumlee. I thought you were talking about Zeller, the other bald white center. No. So, yeah, it's Mason Plumlee. He's probably not the answer. He's probably not taking you to the promised land. I'm going to go ahead and put Mark Williams in there immediately.
Do you see him any way, shape, or form like a Jared Allen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what he is. Block every shot, dunk every ball, and get every rebound, and then run the middle of the floor to the other rim and occupy people. I mean, I don't know.
Here's all that matters. Can he grow an Artis Gilmore fro?
Not like Jared Allen.
No way.
I mean, look around. Who else do you see? Moochie Norris, Jared Allen. Who else in the modern era has ever had an afro like Jared Allen?
Yeah, Dr. J's, but his was cleaner.
That's not modern. You go way back. We can find all kind Artis Gilmore. We find all kinds of guys back there. Yeah. No. I mean, let's not bring afros into the conversation. Right. He's not going to be able to match Jared Allen in that way. What about AJ Griffin? I'm intrigued by that guy. What do you think about him?
He's a bigger Norm Powell.
Okay, well, that's fine.
A little bit bigger Norm Powell. I think he's got a chance to be a good pro, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be I think he's going to have a chance to score the ball. He's physical, man. He's really physical. They keep saying he's an elite scorer, right? I think that's a job.
I didn't see it. Did you see that?
Yeah, I definitely didn't see that. But I think he has a chance to be a dude, kind of like what I said about my guy out of Kansas. I think that he has a chance to be a guy who can be a rotational player on a playoff team, down the road. I think his maturity level, he's young right now, obviously, but God dog, his body already. I mean, geez,
he stands out in a crowd, right? He stands out. He's a good 8 to 10 pounds heavier than Agbaji, who I think is an animal already, right? 100%. Now, AJ Griffin shot 47% from 3 as a freshman. That is elite, right? We've been making fun of percentages. Yes. That's nothing to sneeze at the Division I level playing Duke schedule. That's legit.
The other part about that is I don't have the numbers in front of me. Like, I don't know how many he shot. I don't know if he's probably wasn't a high volume guy.
Yeah.
Which at times makes it harder to shoot a higher percentage.
Yeah, it does. For sure it does. Yeah, of course.
So anyhow, no, I think I think he's got a chance. Now let's move on to the next one, our LSU guy. That's an interesting one. I want to get your take on it first.
We got to be careful how we approach this. Okay.
Look, I met with McMahon a couple weeks ago, and I like the guy a lot. I had a relationship with Will. I think all these things are what they are, but let's just be as objective as we can. Let's do like Barkley does with Jordan. It's
okay. Keep in mind, I might have to try to get the guy on the channel one day, but this is about to go up in smoke.
And of course, Jordan doesn't talk to Barkley anymore either. So anyhow, yeah.
I don't think he can dribble a basketball. I don't think he has a high basketball IQ. I think he shoots the ball from just below his right shoulder, between his nipple and his shoulder. He's as unpolished as any near lottery pick I've ever seen that's a perimeter player. I don't think he has the ability to change direct. His ball handling is so poor that I don't even think he has the ability to develop a counter move at this point. What else do you want me to say? I mean, I don't think he belongs as the 16th ranked player. I think he's an airport player, as we used to call him. He looks good getting off the airport, but off the airplane, but he's not the guy, man. I think he looks smart, but can't play it.
He was not happy about where he got picked. You could tell last night. He
thought he should have gotten drafted earlier?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He was projected lottery.
Well,
so
he
or
can
potentially
himself anywhere he wants. Here's the one thing I'll say about this guy. If somehow somebody lights a fire under him and says, hey, I want you to be the best perimeter defender in the NBA and just don't worry about anything else on the court except being the best on-ball defender you could possibly be.
Right.
He's very elite, and he could be that person. But I don't know if that's in here because that takes this too, right? I don't know if he has that. But that's his best bet to be in this league. Like if he's going into this league thinking he's going to be Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or a wing like that, he is. I don't know how old he is, but he would need to be 11 for that to be a possibility. He's not there. He's not that guy.
Potential as a shooter, I guess I don't see that. That's my issue. I don't see the potential as a shooter. But again,
percentages weren't terrible.
Yeah, you can change that too, right?
But it's not even. It's just
his best bet is as a 3-and-D guy. That's the thing.
Agreed.
Best bet.
We keep saying Anunoby like it's a bad thing, but man, look, Tari Eason could make a lot more money in the next 5 years than we're going to make in our entire life if he just guards his position as good as he possibly can. He plays every possession and then can make open corner threes. If he can
100%.
do what OG Anunoby does, the guy could probably make $100 million in his career. So
he could.
What else? Who else are we leaving out? Is there anybody else you want to talk about? I know this guy Malachi Branham dropped a little bit lower than people thought. I think that's a better pick for the Spurs at number 20 than the goofball Sohan that they took at number 9?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
You like
sold.
Walker Kessler? We talked about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold. I do. Where is my other guy from Ohio State? Oh, where is he? Help me out.
Tell while you're looking for that. Tell me about Ty Washington. What do you think about him? Because I thought he was the best player on Kentucky's team.
I do too, and I think he went low. I just don't know. Like, okay, so he goes to Minnesota.
Memphis, or did he get traded?
He got traded.
Okay, so Memphis took him, and then he went to Minnesota.
Traded to Minnesota. I don't think that's a great fit, obviously. But again, I think the kid, I like his skill set, and I think he plays really freaking hard. So they took a shot at him. The kid that I was talking about, he didn't go till 41, and the Pels picked him up. EJ Little, Ohio State. Again, he's old, but he's developed, man. He's a mature game. That to me, he was the best second-round pick. Of anybody that I saw. And I don't know enough of these other guys. That's the thing. But at the same time, I think he has a chance to be pretty good. The Williams kid out of Arkansas is pretty good that the Thunder drafted. I mean, I'm just realizing this. I guess I shouldn't have to realize this. I feel like the Thunder picked every 5th pick.
Well, how about this? This is something that may have you may not have caught this. They drafted 2 dudes named Jalen Williams.
By the way, how crazy is that?
What the hell is that? Like that should be the talk of the draft.
Yeah. At least they weren't spelled the same because I went back.
No, thank God. What a miserable nightmare for the PR team. Are they both guards? No, one's a center. Okay, good.
Yeah. I don't have anybody else though. I think we covered it. I think this draft is thin. After pick 6. I mean, you sprinkle in Agabaji, you sprinkle in AJ Griffin, Mark Williams, but I think you got. Man, I know it's tough to project, especially with these kids being so young. But if you have 12 good rotation players in this draft, I think I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I think this is a really weak draft as far as superstar franchise talents. I know everybody's always super excited post-draft, and everybody's got potential until they have to actually produce.
Right.
I don't see it, man. We've been so spoiled, Jonathan. I mean, look, going back to 2017, we've been so spoiled, man. Just every draft class has been big time, big time.
Loaded.
And going all the way back to 2017, you got your Donovan Mitchell, Tatum, De'Aaron Fox. I think that was also Bam. I think that year, 2018, you got Doncic and Trae Young. 2019, you've got Zion and Ja, right? And Kevin Porter Jr. we'll see, and Tyler Hero. And then you got wait, I got that wrong. Did I get that wrong? God, I'm getting my years. COVID is killing me with this.
It's so easy to get them wrong, though, man. That's the thing. It's so easy to get them wrong. I just think this: the league is the deepest it's ever been. Nobody can argue that. It's the most talented it's ever been. Nobody can argue that. I don't want to hear, I'm not going Draymond's route where he said, back in the 90s, this, that, blah, 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 whatever. I think the legends of those times, there were probably as many as there are today. But like you're in the league, you're 10 through 20 right now, and you're 20 through 30 are way better than they were back then. Way better.
No question. All right. Well, look, we'll wrap it up. Before we came on here, let me get you on the big screen. Yeah, before we came on here, we had another great idea for another video. It's not going to be 2 hours and 15 minutes. Do we just ramble about a bunch of role-playing college players for 2 hours?
14 spots.
What?
14 spots.
Yes, exactly. But we've got some other great ideas. So this won't be the last time that you come on the channel. So hopefully the people don't flame you and me too bad about our projected players here. I know it's hard to make friends, and none of these videos ever age well. When you make this many predictions, nobody's going to get them all right. And so I'm sure we're going to look really stupid in the near future because not all of them are going to be great. Not all of them are going to be bad, but it was fun to talk about nevertheless. So thanks for coming on. Anything else you want to share? Anything else you can think of? What else? What are you on your horizon right now? Who else are you training? You're training Skylar. You ever see Langston and Garrett, those guys? Langston, Galloway, Garrett?
Yeah, Garrett's not around much. Langston is bouncing around right now. He worked out with Brooklyn. He worked out with the Lakers. He's trying to latch back onto a team. Jarrell Martin's trying to get back in the league. His team won the NBL championship in Australia.
Okay.
He'll be back in the gym with me in a couple of weeks. And then,
how's his body look? How's Jarrell Martin's body look?
It's good. He trimmed up. He looks good.
Good.
He's athletic. He shoots it a lot better now. That's the thing.
Good.
So I think we really worked on that. He really committed to it. And then I'm heavily entrenched in the name, image, and likeness world right now as well. At that point. So I'm all over the place, but it's all in athletics. So it's a lot of fun.
Good. That's it. Well, I'm jealous. This is my athletic outlet, right? So I put people in houses and help people buy shopping centers every day. So this is my only outlet as far as speaking to people about the stuff that I love, which is basketball. So thanks for coming on. We're definitely going to do it soon, and we've got a really good idea for a draft that we're going to do in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to put my research in, so I'm going to be ready for you. So you better make sure you do your research so you're ready.
Oh, I'm done. I'm ready.
Oh, you're already done. Okay. Well, give me 3 days. I'll be ready. I promise, and we'll do it again.
Awesome.
All right, my man. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Guys, thanks for joining. Again, that's one of my best friends forever. Like, we could literally talk basketball for 5 hours. So some of you guys will be really excited that we talked about basketball for over 2 hours, and some of you guys will have clicked off and gone and watched something else after about 10 minutes. But for those of you that stuck around, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching the channel. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't, consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. I don't take any of my viewers for granted. I'd love to hear your comments below. Everybody's got an opinion on these guys that were drafted, so let me know in the comments what your opinions are, and hit the bell icon for notifications. I've got videos dropping literally daily. I don't know how long I can keep up this type of consistency because I do have a wife and 7 kids and 2 or 3 companies to run. And I've got the national show to go to, so I've got all kinds of stuff going on, and I do need to buy and sell cards as well. So I do love the comments, and I like producing content for you guys. So thank you all for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.